The depths of the cloud poured out water. The skies sent out a sound. Then arrows also went abroad. The voice of thy thunder was in the heavens. The lightning lightened the world. The earth trembled and shook. Thy way is in the sea, and thy path in the great water, and thy footsteps are not known. Thou leadest thy people like a flock by thy hand of Moshe and Aaron. Tobe ahaya, Tobe ahaya, Tobe Chineke, Tobe Chineke, Tobe ahaya.
I've been doing all that I can to hold it all together. Piece by piece, I've been feeling like a failure, trying to be braver than I could ever be. It's just not me. Be my guide, so I can just be you. I can just be you. I've been living like an orphan, trying to belong here, but it's just not my home. I've been holding on so tightly to only be my God, so I can just be you. 'Cause I was in you, so now I'm bleeding, desperately bleeding. Oh Lord, you're all to me. Be my Savior, be mine to be someone I was never meant to be. Be my God, be my God, be my God, so I can.
To one white. Between the races, we cannot dig too deep a gulf. The enslaved also learned some lesson. Their owners would rise to any level of violence and arm anyone to protect bondage on the Americas. Europeans would throw their own soldiers into the fray or hire Indians living nearby. Slaves began to reason that their success might depend upon their ability to make friends. The European policy of divide and conquer that began on Christmas Day.
That began on what?
On Christmas Day,
Go ahead.
1522, introduced elements of deep divisions to the Americas. Slavery and its cruel legacy left a bloody trail across the grass and saw.
That's how it spread to the rest of the world.
Where
They conquered us everywhere.
where Atlantic and Pacific Ocean meet.
Go ahead.
But another American tradition also took roots. The men and women enslaved in the New World began a pattern of resistance.
Go ahead.
The first enslaved were the first to flee, the first to rebel, the first to announce that chains were meant to be broken.
Chains were meant to be what?
To be broken.
Go ahead.
The spirit of rebellion spread like a wildfire that no European power could put out. In the next 10 years, revolts spread to Colombia, Panama, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and
so now you see the battle here in American frontier, front lines. the so-called Spaniards, these are Israelites. We are still in the battle, brothers and sisters. But we can now win the battle breaking the commandments. We can now win the battle sinning against the Most High. We are fighting against the Most High and fighting against our enemies. We need to bind back together and think about strategy. We need to wake our people up worldwide. From all these places, Cuba, Mexico, Panama, all the way to Jamaica, West Indies, Africa, in the Philippine Islands, our people are still suffering. The same nation needs to rise up and believe in Christ and believe in His commandments and cause the great revolution to happen. We got to rise up, brothers. We got to rise to the truth. We have to put down all the petty stuff, put down the little idiosyncrasy. They're planning a mass slaughter of our people, like we saw with the NATO or the NASA document last week. We're living in a serious time, and we'll think that we got peace time, but there's no peace. It's a time of awakening for our people. You can stop right there. It's a time to rise up for this battle. We've been in this battle now. We'll think we got democracy after the 60s movement. We're thinking that there's no more enemy. The enemy is still here. The battle is not over yet. We're battling through technology. We're battling through science. We're battling through research. We're battling through pulling together, through prayer, through true worship. There's so many different ways that we have to battle, like we had in the beginning. The war is not over. We're just going into the greatest time. The Christ is coming to set us back up again for this final war. And only those that keep His commandments, holy people, will make it. Let's read a little bit about American Thanksgiving. Give me that thing real quick. And then I want to read into the scriptures. Let's read the places that she highlighted from the brief research that we did. American Thanksgiving, a glorification of racist barbarity. Can you read that real quick?
This article was originally published on November 27, 2003, when Glenn Ford was co-publisher.
Just start from here.
Of the
first Thanksgiving dinner. Start from here. According to a single paragraph.
Okay.
I want to get straight to the point. According to a single paragraph account in the writings of one pilgrim. Go ahead.
A harvest feast did take place in Plymouth in 1621, probably in mid-October, but the Indians who attended were not even invited, though it later became known as the Thanksgiving.
It later became a what?
Known as the Thanksgiving.
Basically, they rounded them up and killed them. It became known as the so-called Thanksgiving, the massacre of our people. Go ahead.
The pilgrim never called it that, and amidst the imagery of a panic of interracial harmony is some of the most terrified bloodshed in New World history. The pilgrim crop had failed miserably that year, but the agricultural expertise of the Indian had produced 20 acres of corn, without which the pilgrims would have surely perished.
Go ahead.
The Indians often borrowed food to the pilgrims, who came from England ridiculously unprepared to survive, and hence relied almost exclusively on handouts from the overly generous Indians, thus making the pilgrims the Western Hemisphere's first class of welfare recipients. The pilgrims invited the Indians. The pilgrims invited the Indian Sekim Masoit to their feast, and it was Masoit, engaging in the tribal tradition of equal sharing, who then invited 90 or more of his Indian brothers and sisters to the annoyance of the 50 or so ungrateful Europeans. No turkey, cranberry sauce, or pumpkin pie was served. They likely ate duck or geese, and the venison from the 5 deer brought by Massoud. In fact, most of Notal of the food was mostly like brought and prepared by the Indians, whose 10,000 years familiarity with the cousins of the region had kept the whites alive up to that point.
Amazing. Let's read the one that I highlighted.
What is certain is that the first feast was not called a Thanksgiving at the time. No further integrated dining occasions were scheduled, and the first official all pilgrim
Thanksgiving
had to wait until 1637.
So it was until 1637 that they became official. But after they finally succeeded in causing the greatest Holocaust or genocide, if you will, of our people. Go ahead.
When the whites of the New England celebrated the massacre of the Wampong's southern neighbors, the Pequots, they're called. The Pequots, they're called. The real first Pilgrim Thanksgiving was intended as the Pequots Epita, 16 years after the problematical Plymouth Feast. The English tried mightily to erase the Pequots from the face of the earth, and thanked the Most High for the blessing.
And thank who?
And thank the Most High for the blessing.
And they thank God. The Thanksgiving is they thanking their God for the blessing, for destroying, almost eradicating genocide. And say that everything that the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to who? To the devils, and not to the Most High. You're sacrificing to devils, and you're eating in the blood of our people, the skull and bones of our people. And you're not even in the battle. You're fighting against your own very people and saying, claiming to be a Christian. And it was so-called Christians that destroyed us. These are not Christians at all. These are Satanists, known pagans from Europe that converted and hijacked the truth of Christ and used that as a springboard to cause the destruction of a people. Amazing.
Well, they thank God because they know that their power cannot do that except the Lord has already decided to punish us.
We disobeyed our Heavenly Father.
Because we disobeyed the
So
Lord.
because we disobeyed, that's why we say the war is on two fronts. We're fighting against our Heavenly Father, and we're fighting against our enemy. We can now win the battle. It was already written against us. Read a little bit more, please, so we can try to finish up. Go ahead.
Having subdued, intimidated, or made mercenaries of most of the tribes of Massachusetts.
They have subdued, intimidated, and made mercenaries of the tribes of what? Massachusetts.
The English turned their growing force southward toward the rich Connecticut Valley, the Pequots' sphere of influence. At the point where the Mystic River meets the sea, the combined force of English and allied Indians bypassed the Pequots' fort to attack and set ablaze a town full of women, children, and old people.
Go ahead.
William Bradford, the former governor of Plymouth and one of the chroniclers of the 1621 feast, was also on hand for the greatest massacre of 1637.
The greatest massacre of what?
1637.
The true Holocaust, the true genocide written in the Bible that will happen to the holy people. Us, the Israelites, the North American Indians, God. Go ahead.
Those that escaped the fire were slain with the sword, and some hewn to pieces. Others run throughout with their rapers, so that they were quickly dispatched, and very few escaped. It was conceived that thus destroyed about 400 at this time. It was a fearful sight to see them thus frying in the fire. Horrible was the stench and scent thereof, but the victory seemed a sweet sacrifice.
A sweet what?
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice to who? To their gods. The devil was using Roman Empire in America in the final battle to demolish the nation of Israel. Is a sweet sacrifice to their God, and that's what Thanksgiving is all about. And we shouldn't be celebrating it. We should fast and mourn for that day like we're doing today. Remembering what they did to our people, the massacre of the true military, the northern kingdom of Israel, tribe of God, that was set apart to lead us in battle, so they're glorying over us. Go ahead.
And they give the prayers, therefore, to God, who had wrought so wonderfully for them, thus to enclose their enemies in their hands.
Now, who were their enemies? Us. Who helped them, gave them food, helped them with everything. Amazing. Before America become what it is today. So while you're enjoying America, understand what you're enjoying. We need to understand these things. Continue a little bit more.
And give them so speedily a victory over so proud and insulting enemy. I want to hear them now. The rest of the rest of the white folks thought so too. This day forth shall be a day of celebration and thanksgiving for subduing the Pequots. Read Governor John Winthrop's proclamation. The authentic Thanksgiving Day was born.
Okay, let's jump straight to the point where they finally made it official. Start from here. By 1670, the colonists, with 8,000 men under arms, felt strong enough to determine that the Pilgrims' former dinner guests, the Winpongs, disarmed and submit to authority of the crown. After King Philip's War, there was almost no Indians left free in the northern British colonies. A colonist wrote from Manhattan's New York colony, there is, quote, there is now but few Indians upon the islands, and those few nowhere hurtful. It is to be admired how strangely they have decreased by the hand of God, since the English first settled in these parts. End quote. In Massachusetts, the colonists declared a day of public thanksgiving in 1676. Saying, the colonists declared a day of public thanksgiving in 1676,
saying there now scarce remain a name of a family of them, the Indians, in quotes, but are either slain, captivated, or fled.
Captured or captivated or what?
Or fled.
So they took away the land, they took everything. You can hardly find them. They've taken over all their land resources. And they say they're giving thanks to their God for destroying our people. Go ahead.
Abraham Lincoln puts Thanksgiving in November. At the moment of the deepest national crisis following the Battle of Gettysburg in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln invoked the national fable that is far more central to the white American personalities that Lincoln's battlefield addresses. Lincoln seized upon the 1621 feast as the historic Thanksgiving, bypassing the official and authentic 1637 precedents, and signed the dateless, murky event the fourth Thursday in November.
The fourth Thursday in what?
In November.
So that's how they made it official. They made it official that when you're celebrating the defeat of your own very people, because they had what they call the moral epistemology of imperialism, is imperialistic. They set up religion that you don't even understand that we're in a battle. As you can see, the nation of Israel was built for battle, and the Gentiles have their own different God, have their own different system, and that's the conflict. And Christ is coming to subdue them under us, and that's the true gospel. They don't want us to declare this truth at all, because they had to infiltrate the doctrine of Christ. And as you saw, there was the so-called Christians that were doing this stuff. Amazing. Let's go to Isaiah 14 real quick and round up with a few precepts. Yeshaya chapter 14, verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. But the Most High will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land.
We will be scattered. He's going to show mercy upon us. That's why Christ has to come and die, to gather those of us that are repentant, those of us that have allowed us to be changed, to believe in him and keep his commandment and connect with his covenant. He will have mercy on Jacob and will yet again choose us. Come on.
And the strangers shall be joined with them.
The Gentiles that are actually helping us in this battle. First, we need to wake our people up and show them the truth. And the Gentiles that are believing in our Savior, the true people that now hang into the concept of Christianity, they need to line up with us as well. Join hand in hand. Come on.
And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place.
The Gentiles, true Gentiles that truly love the truth, righteousness, and justice. When you see this great Holocaust, the great massacre of our people, you should be pulling for the people of God, us, the poor people suffering. And if you're a true Israelite, you need to be in the walk. Get yourself enlisted in the battle and do your part. We are not enemies of each other. We are enemy. Our enemies are against. We've been destroyed. We're not fighting against our family members, but they're fighting against us because they're in ignorance. And Gentiles shall help us. Come on.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them.
We shall what?
Possess them.
The same thing that we read in history. We will possess the Gentiles, the enemies, the gates of our enemies. And these are righteous Gentiles. It's everywhere in the Holy Scriptures. That's what they're hiding. So they want us to make it a spiritual Israelite, what they call replacement theology. While the real physical people are suffering the curses of this book, so that we can now really put our resources together to fight against empires that has destroyed us spiritually. Go ahead.
And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Most High for servants and handmaids.
In righteousness. Go ahead.
And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
We shall what?
Rule over their oppressors.
That's our ultimate destiny. That's what was spoken in that book, what you call Lost Tribes and Promised Land, that we're going to end up ruling this whole world. Think about that. That's rulership, the oath, the covenant. There's a reason why we do what we do. Go to the book of James, chapter 1, verse 1, last precept. James chapter 1, verse 1. James in Hebrew is Jacob, chapter 1, verse 1.
James, a servant of the Most High and of the Yahshua Mashiach, to the 12 tribes.
Who's he writing to?
To the 12 tribes.
Who's he writing to?
To the 12 tribes.
He's writing to us, the 12 tribes. Which 12 tribes?
Which are scattered abroad. Greetings.
This is an exaltation to our people. The 12 tribes that are scattered abroad, us, that are suffering, the poor of the earth. Let's show that he's actually writing to the poor of the earth. Go to chapter 2 and read verse 5.
James chapter 2 verse 5. And he reads, Hearken, my beloved brethren, had not the Most High chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom which he had promised to them that love him?
He's actually chosen the poor of this earth that have been destroyed and scattered and pillaged, being exploited by the European powers and the Gentile powers, the Gentile government that are fighting against us. He's admonishing us in this writing. Read verse 12, chapter 1, verse 12.
James chapter 1, verse 12.
Yes. Speaking to us, while you're going through this battle, it's hard. You don't see the immediate result. We get sometimes frustrated at each other. You don't want to come on time no more. You don't want to do what you're supposed to do. You don't want to show that love, the fruits of the Spirit. You know, you get sometimes worn out, not understand that there's a reward. This is a long and extended battle. We have to endure. the longer battle and understand the vision and understand the direction that the Most High has set forth. What is James speaking to the 12 tribes scattered across the world that are fighting in this battle?
Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life.
We have to endure the suffering, the temptation, walking the walk of our Father, teaching this truth. Remember, you cannot take this thing for granted. Go ahead.
Which the Most High had promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of the Most High. For the Most High cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn the way of his own lusts and enticed.
And that's what happened to us when we fell. And we're still enticed in this wicked world that they have set with the blood of our people. It's calling for us to live differently. Calling for us not to be carried away by the lust of this life. Because there's a crown of life that is to come, which is the kingdom. Go ahead.
Then when lust had conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death.
Go ahead.
Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruit of his creatures.
We are his what?
First fruit, a kind of first fruit of his creatures.
The Most High said, vengeance is mine. I will vengeance against your enemy. You are my first fruits. Regardless, he still loves Jacob. He has shown us mercy. Brother is admonishing us in new faith now. We're fighting with our mind, fighting with our spirits, fighting with our gift, fighting with our prayer. We're not hating no one. We're speaking out, telling our people to repent, because we went against our God, our Elohim. We went against him and he allowed our enemies to defeat us. Now he's going to be fighting against our enemy as we come together. Go ahead.
Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of the Most High. Wherefore lay apart all filthiness, superfluity of naughtiness, receive with meekness the engrafted word, which is able to save your soul. But be ye doers of the word, and not the hearers only, deceiving your own selves. For if any be a hearer of the word, and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in the glass. For he beholdeth himself, and goeth his way, and straightway forgetteth what manner of man he was.
We gotta do the work of the Father. We gotta take this thing seriously. The whole nation of Israel, like we saw in the days of battle, when he arranged us to war to prepare for this final war, when he's gonna put his spirit for us. Doing the commandment. It's a holy war, a spiritual battle against forces of darkness that are controlling the government powers of this earth. We cannot hypocritical. We cannot be hypocritical. Find a role to participate, connect with brothers and sisters in the truth. Go ahead.
But whosoever looketh into the perfect law of liberty, and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed.
This man shall be what?
Blessed in his deed.
Go ahead.
If any man among you seem to be religious, and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain.
Go ahead.
Pure religion and undefiled before the Most High and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and the widows and in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world.
And keep himself what?
Unspotted from the world.
We have to be different, because that's why we fell. We fell from the grace of the Father. Now he sent Christ to die. This is a message to the 12 tribes scattered that are still in this battle. It's a holy battle, a battle of holiness and righteousness, that we have to come back and do the work. There's a greater reward. Much suffering to do this work. Don't just be hearers, but participate in the activities of this war, this battle, because you're against us. The reason why the Heavenly Father was warning us about these things is because he was warning us about the law, warning us about the commandment, because there's something that will happen to the earth when the holy people fall. There's something that will happen to us and happen to the children of Israel and the rest of the world, the people that he has given an agreement to preserve and to protect his mysteries. So now, we will go into a teaching today which is Thanksgiving, shows the battle, the massacre of the children of God. Thanksgiving essentially is a mockery of who we are. And it is a symbol of the defeat of our people. For those of you that are celebrating this Thanksgiving, they forget that the nation of Israel is in a battle against the powers that conquered us. Technologically, scientifically, philosophically, they have conquered us. Physically, we've been conquered. And we've adapted the customs and the norms of the people that has conquered us, and retrained and brainwashed us to think and operate as they want. So here we go. Let's go into it. Let's start from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 1. Going into Thanksgiving. We've seen many of this teaching before, but we're going to take it at a different, slightly different angle today. What it meant, because we need to always remind our people that the holy day is one of the Gentile holiday is one of the biggest strategic and philosophical feats that have used to keep us in bondage. Because if somebody can get you to worship their God through their own feast days, they have got you. If someone can get you to worship their God, whether you're aware of it or not aware of it, you actually been had. But you're going to see that we were physically forced and conquered. So let's get into it. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. Let's see if the Most High supports us practicing the customs of the heathens, the customs of Gentiles. Let's go into it.
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Most High speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
Who is the Most High speaking to?
O house of Israel.
Be Israel. Bene Israel. What is he speaking to us?
Thus saith the Most High. Learn not the ways of the heathen.
No, you can learn the way of the Gentiles and practice it.
Learn not the ways of the heathen.
No, you can go. It doesn't matter what religion you practice, because we've been conquered now.
Thus says the Most High.
What did he say?
Learn not the way of the heathen.
The ways of the heathens. Now that begs the questions, who are the heathens? The heathens are non-Israelites from the beginning. The people that are not chosen to be the holy people. You start with Edom, the purebred Caucasians. They are heathens. The European powers and European powers that have taught us our ways. The Arabs under Islam, they are all heathens. The true Arabs that set up their religion. The East Indians, they are all heathens, all the way down to Japan, China. They are all heathens. They have always involved in Buddha and Krishna. They don't know the mysteries of the Most High. They need the light to be brought to them in love and understanding. Same thing with the Iranians. Now, under Persian mythology, today now they're practicing what?
Islam.
They're practicing Islam. They were converted. Some of them are Sunnis, some of them Shiites. They're all heathens. You come into Africa, the true Africans, the Negroes in Africa and Africans. We are Hebrews. You're going to see that today. We are the Israelites, fled among black Africans. Who are the Africans? The Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans. You have the ancient Canaanites in the East and North Africa. Those are the true Africans. Some of them wiped away, particularly the Canaanites, as a lot of them has been wiped away, mingled with other people, but nonetheless, they're still there in Africa. They practice Egyptology and all the mystery schools. We are supposed to be different from them, because why? We are in a war against the powers of darkness that are controlling them. We see in many teachings that the nations have a different God from us. Our God, our Elohim, has his own laws, his own statutes, his own feast days, his own festival, and we are in direct conflict against them spiritually and physically. Because when somebody conquers you, he gives you a different God and different perception and perspective in life, and that is why it's so difficult for our people to know that we've been deceived. The Most High said what?
Learn not the way of the heathen.
Why?
And be not dismayed at the signs of the heaven.
Do not be dismayed by the what?
The signs of the heaven.
What are the signs of heaven? zodiac signs. All the ancient Bible, starting from ancient Babylon, it was the worship of luminaries, the worship of deities and fallen angels that are linked to their holy days, and they linked it to all their respective holidays, and they glorify their God in their holy days. But the Most High is speaking about the non-Israelites, because we are his people that's supposed to set the agenda. So, but now because we've been conquered, it's so difficult for us to see that the modern Christianity has been infiltrated by the Greeks and the Romans. It's so difficult to see that a Muslim was not supposed to be set up, because it all comes from the same Tower of Babel, the same deception. All the religions of the earth are false, but the holy scriptures of the Hebrews are true. It's hard for us to understand that. Go ahead.
Learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathens are dismayed at them.
For the heathens are what?
Dismayed at them.
They are surprised. They link their bad day to the day. All the days of the week, all the months of the year, they are all in line with the luminary worship. And we're not supposed to do that. Go ahead.
Verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain.
The what?
The customs.
The what?
The customs.
The custom. Their culture are what?
Of the people are vain.
The people which go in, which are the non-Israelites, are vanity. They love money. They love their cars. They love accolades. They love their jobs. They love all these things more than they love the Most High. They love nice clothing. They put it in music. You just had Black Friday just roll through. That's the vain customs of the heathens. That is the Black Friday. When you study about Black Friday, you find out that it's also satanic. All these things are from the heathens. Everything that they do that to glorify their God. And the Most High does everything for us to what? To glorify Him. The customs of the people are what?
Are vain.
Now, we're not going to go into, because this begins to go into the Christmas and the Christmas tree, but that's not what we're focusing on today. But nonetheless, the Most High condemns all the customs of the Gentiles. You name them. We're not supposed to follow them. They're supposed to follow us as we're waking up to the truth of Christ. The world is indeed backwards. Let's go to a precept. Precept that with Ezekiel, chapter 20, verse 32.
Ezekiel 20:32.
Ezekiel in Hebrew 20:32.
32 says, And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all, that ye say, we will be as the heathen.
We will be as the what?
As the heathen.
You can never say whatever comes into your mind. Don't never conclude that we're going to begin to operate like the Gentiles. The Gentiles have their own approach to life, different from the chosen people. Read that again, please.
Ezekiel chapter 20:32. And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all, that ye say, we will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries.
As the what?
As the families of the countries.
Go ahead.
To serve wood and stone.
To serve what?
Wood and stone.
The wood, paganism, Satanism, stone. That's what they call Abarak in Mecca. There's always a deity after these articles of worship. We don't put up none of these things. We are the holy people set apart from the rest of the world, and we should think as such. Let's go down to Leviticus 18 verse 3.
Leviticus chapter 18 verse 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. After the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances.
Read that again, please.
Leviticus chapter 18 verse 3. After the doings of the land of Egypt.
We were coming out of Egyptian slavery. Egyptians are known Satanists and satanic worship of Ra and Mon-Ra. And the Most High said, don't be like them. The same thing today in America. They're still worshiping the gods of Egypt. Look at your dollar bill. They're still worshiping the god of Babylon. Look at all the cities built around. So we have to be absolutely careful for paganism, because they will put it in everything and cause you to worship their God, whether you know it or not. So the Most High is reminding us again, Even now that we're in diaspora, what is he saying? After the what?
After the doings of the land of Egypt.
Now we know that Egypt is not just the ancient Egypt. He's now speaking about what? The future Egypt, which is America. It tells you that in Revelation chapter 11. The same place, because the same people that was enslaved in ancient Egypt will be brought to America to be enslaved. Go ahead.
After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwell, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do.
Go ahead.
Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances.
Neither shall ye what?
Walk in their ordinances.
We are not supposed to walk. Sometimes we get too relaxed. And when you have your mind to truly follow the Most High, people are going to say, well, why don't you relax a little bit? Just relax, man. We can actually have a birthday cake. Well, it's not in the Bible. It's written in paganism. Well, it doesn't really matter. We can celebrate this or celebrate Thanksgiving. How about Halloween? Next thing you begin to delve into deeper and deeper. But you're not going to find out because the Most High has his own way, usoro, which is sawa, his precepts in the Holy Scriptures. Go ahead.
4. And ye shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances to walk therein. I am the Most High, your power.
So he has his own judgment, his ordinances, and his own commandment, different from the heathens. And he was warning us about that, essentially the reason why we fell as a nation. That put us in this global battle. We're fighting two battles. We're fighting against the Heavenly Father, and we're fighting against the gods of the Gentiles. Who can ever win such a war? Because he's fighting against us. When we fell, we went against him, we became his enemy. That's what he called us to. What verse did you stop in?
Verse 4.
Okay, let's jump to, that was Leviticus chapter what?
Chapter 18.
Okay, go to Leviticus chapter 20, verse 23. Let's read that too.
Leviticus chapter 20, verse 23, you said?
Yes.
Verse 23 says, And ye shall not walk in the manner of the nations which I cast out before you, for they committed all these things, and therefore I abhorred them.
And therefore what?
I abhorred them.
Their customs he hates. The custom of America, the Heavenly Father hates. The custom of Babylon, the custom of Egypt, the custom of the Persians, Iranians, the custom of all the Gentiles, the Chinese, he hates all their customs. So when you see this new wave or the new age movement to get everybody to be cool, to cause you to acclimatize to the customs of the heathens. And when you walk in the commandments, you will be absolutely different because we're separated like we saw in the law class last Sabbath. Go ahead.
24. But I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess it. A land that floweth with milk and honey. I am the Most High, your power.
So that is a reward for always obeying him. Now we know he's not speaking about the old land of Jerusalem. He's speaking about the new Jerusalem that is to come down. The whole time, in fact, it was symbolized by the old land of Jerusalem.
That's right.
Amazing. And our ancestors did not understand. Well, the ones in the truth understood that. Let's go to that was okay. Read verse. What verse are you left in?
I'm actually still in verse 24. Hold on, one more line, then.
Go ahead.
I am the Most High, your power, which have separated you from other people.
He has what?
Separated you from other people.
The Most High has what?
Separated you from other people.
We are separated. The Most High has his own way of dressing, his own way, what we're supposed to eat, how we're supposed to worship, how we're supposed to raise our children. Everything. He separated us from the Gentiles. So when you're mindful of that, of the covenant that we have with him, you are different.
That's right.
He made a separation. But because we say, no, we want to be like those nations and act like them and think like them, you are in trouble. Your children are lost. Exactly what happened to us. Amazing. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 30.
Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 30. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before thee.
What did the Most High say?
Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared.
Don't be what?
Snared.
Don't be what?
Snared.
Keep that word in mind, because as a nation, we've been snared. That word snare means a trap set up against us. So be mindful that there is not a trap set up against you by this nation, because these nations around us will cause you to fall into apostasy. They will cause us to become like them. Snared. Go ahead.
Take heed to thyself. Deuteronomy chapter 12 verse 30. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods.
That thou inquire what?
That thou inquire not after their gods.
Now we know that our ancestors did inquire after their God back then when we were in Jerusalem and fell. But today we claim to be Christian, and they got power, and now we claim to be Christian, to follow the Bible, not understanding that they have actually set up all the institutions for us. So while you may not be, consciously inquiring after their gods, they set up the institutions for you to actually worship their gods at your ignorance. They set up institutions for you to be worshiping their gods. Amazing. And it's so hard for them, because we know that the Bible is true for them, besides the deceptive wars that they're putting here and there by the Jesuits, the Luminist power, the Jewish fake Jews. But nonetheless, we the real Jews are waking up now. We can confirm the validity of essentially 99% of it.
That's right.
The deception is to keep us in blindness. We cannot be inquiring about the gods, their custom, their way of life. Our lifestyle, when you study the Bible, you see that we're supposed to be simple and holy, immaculately, full of wisdom. It's different from them. They just do whatever. They have no clue. We actually have mercy for them, because a lot of them are dying going straight to hell. Amazing. But some of them are really seeking for Christ, and we need to bring them in and actually show them the light. That's our position. But first, you got to get yourself in order to be able to be a light to them. Right? Continue.
I said, Deuteronomy chapter 12 verse 30. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods.
Thou inquire not
after their gods.
Go ahead.
Saying, how did these nations serve their gods?
How did these nations what?
Serve their gods.
Go ahead.
Even so will I do likewise.
And you're not doing that aware, but our people has been doing, our ancestors did it, and now we've been taken over by it. The Most High warned us severely. Go ahead.
Thou should not do so unto the Most High thy power.
Why?
For every abomination to the Most High, which he hath hated, have they done unto their gods.
What are the abominations that they do?
For even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods.
See that? Animal sacrifice, human sacrifice, bloodshed. A lot of the war that you see going on is actually a sacrifice to their gods. Because Satan requires a blood, and the government powers are doing that. They cause all these wars that are going on everywhere sometimes, that are funded by the banks, the international banksters, to cause much bloodshed. And you're thinking that they're happening by like what you saw happen in Japan. And I'm sorry, what happened in Philippine Island. Massive deaths. And we're watching on television, we saw in the document that was brought forth last Sabbath from NASA, that it showed that they're planning they say is going to be massive death. They're going to exploit the CNN syndrome, which is a lie, lying to the people, psychological wars, and they will also use what they call, there's going to be in living color. They're going to torture people in living color. We are in a war against forces. Continue.
What things soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereunto, nor diminish from it. That's it.
Nor diminish from what?
From it.
So you cannot go get your own custom and say, I'm going to do that now. That means the Most High has given us his commandment in the Bible. You're not just going to say, I'm going to go put up something new. No, it's already written. Everything, the ways, the Torah, what he has commanded us is documented in the Holy Scriptures. that we should do or shouldn't do. Amazing. So we cannot invent new things. We just have to study and understand what he wants us to do. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20. And it reads, "But I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice,
which the Gentiles, the heathens, whatever they sacrifice, go ahead.
They sacrifice to devils.
They sacrifice to who?
To devils.
To who?
To devils.
See that? How do you do feast? You do feast like so-called Thanksgiving feast by killing a turkey. How do you do Christmas? By killing a bull, a ram, a goat. What do you kill? You're doing a sacrifice. Every time you pull an animal, you do an animal sacrifice. Every time you feast, you're feasting to some kind of a deity, whether you like it or not.
That's right.
But we know that the Gentiles have sent their own sacrifices across the world that we've been engulfed in while we were scattered worldwide. And that's why we're pulling our families to come out of these feasts. What the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to who?
To devils.
To devils. Thanksgiving is sacrifice to who?
To devils.
To devils. Christmas is a sacrifice to who?
To devils.
Easter, the worship of a star, the Queen Mother of Heaven, is a sacrifice to who?
To devils.
To devils. But the Most High feast days are contained in the Holy Scriptures. His own precepts. Go ahead.
But I say, 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils, and not to the Most High.
And not to who?
And not to the Most High.
Not to the Heavenly Father. Why?
And I would not that ye should have fellowship with the devils. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Most High and the cup of devil. Ye cannot be partaker of the Lord's table and of the table of the devils.
Exactly. When we study all the ancient worships is based on, even our ancestors begin to do that. If we have to even examine our Hebrew customs, you're going to see that we messed up too. Us that fled into Africa messed up too. We begin to mix the true worship with paganism. Most I say, I don't want that. Paganism is the demise of the nation of Israel. So with that now, we're going to shift gears. The problem is that we are in a war. How can we be in a war and we're worshiping the gods of the enemy that they gave us in the diaspora? How can we be in a battle? That's the key point here, is that we are in a battle. We are battle against the Heavenly Father, and we are battle against the gods of the nation. So it's impossible for us to win except if we repent. How do we know that? Go to Exodus chapter 15, verse 3.
Exodus chapter 15,
verse 3.
Verse 3. And it reads, the Most High is a man of war. The Lord is his name. Ahaya is his name.
The Most High power is a what?
Is a man of war.
Ishi of war. He's a man of war. Come on.
Ahaya is his name.
The Most High Ahaya is his name. The great one that causes things to be or to was. Young children, pay attention. This word is for you. Don't make mistakes of your forefathers. If you get this word in you, you're not going to be like your forefathers. You get wisdom, okay? When the word is going, pay attention. Same thing with all the children listening. Get your Bible, follow with the precepts, follow with everything, and begin to meditate on the Holy Scripture. Don't play when the word is going. These are serious moments. This is while we're in our condition. We got to get our young children to get this word in their spirit and learn from a little age. They know how to play video games and all this foolishness, but when it comes to the word of the Most High, our parents just, whatever, they hand it to these churches. They won't teach them nothing. They send them to school. They don't know nothing. So get your Bible and follow every precept, okay? Here we go. The Most High is a power of war. Ahaya is his name. The sovereign one. He is behind the wars. He's the one that put the nation of Israel into war. He's the one that prepared us for war. And he is the one that actually allowed the nations to take their military to destroy us. How do we know that? Let's go to Exodus to show you how he prepared us for war. Exodus chapter 25, and pick it up in verse 10. We are a nation of battle.
Exodus chapter 25, verse 10.
Exodus chapter 25, verse 10, it shows you how he makes the holy, what you call the holy chest, or the ark of the covenant, that the nation of Israel used to go into war. Let's read that as quickly as possible.
Exodus chapter 25, verse 10. And they shall make an ark of shittim wood, 2 cubits, and a half shall be the length thereof, and a cubit and a half the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, within and without shalt thou overlay it, and shalt make upon it a crown of gold around about. And thou shalt cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the 4 corners thereof, and 2 rings shall be in the one side of it, and 2 rings in the other side of it. And thou shalt make staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And thou shalt put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, that the ark...
By the size of the what?
Of the ark.
The size of the what?
Of the ark.
The ark of the covenant, a special instrument that we're going to be using for war. And that the presence of the Most High is with us. Go ahead.
That the ark may be borne with them.
That the ark may be what?
Borne with them.
Carried with them.
The staves shall be in the rings of the ark. They shall not be taken from it. And thou shalt put it into the ark, the testimony which I shall give thee.
Thou shalt put it into the what?
Into the ark.
The ark of the testimony, what?
Which I shall give thee.
Which is the commandments, the agreement, the contract that was signed, that's going to be right inside that ark. Letting us know that when we fall, he's going to be fighting against us. And what's going to happen? He's going to use the nations to destroy us. All documented there. And the nation will get power. The ark will be in peril. Go ahead.
17. And thou shalt make a mercy seat.
A what?
A mercy seat.
Of what?
Of pure gold.
Now the mercy seats represent Christ. Also his plan of salvation was also in there. That Christ, that's going to be the blood of his, that will be on that mercy seat. That have mercy on us. So he has his plan of our destruction and our salvation in the ark. Go ahead.
17. And thou shalt make a mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and a cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And thou shalt make 2 cherubims of gold, of beaten work shalt thou make them in the 2 ends of the mercy seat.
Go ahead.
And make 1 cherubim on the one end.
Now we know that in the Garden of Eden, so now he shows you the kingdom as well, which is where the angels that are before, that allowed us not to get the tree of life. Because this is the source of life right here. The supreme power is right here. I have a scientific document that I should have brought today that shows you how the scientists examined the metal structure that was composed to make this mercy seat, and they determined is the most lethal force. That's why they're still looking for the Ark of the Covenant up to today. I'm going to bring a complete teaching to show the battle between Iran and the European power and the Zionist regime, the fake Jews in Jerusalem today, from a technological and spiritual standpoint. All the scientists, Einstein, Nikola Tesla, they've been researching this thing and they found out to be true. They confirmed the validity of this information. We're going to bring it. That was such a superfluous information that I had to really do deeper research to tie it all together, because to show that the scientists are looking at this thing right here. That when we get this thing again, we're going to be so deadly as a nation. And they're afraid of it. And they're trying to they're putting metal and electromagnetic forces that were extracted from metal, just like atomic bomb and nuclear bomb, to mimic what's in this thing right here. That's essentially what they're trying to do. And that's also part of the war between them and Iran. Because the substance that is used to make that thing is found in Iran and also in Jerusalem and also in Egypt, where the Most High was speaking to us. So I'm going to bring that information hopefully one of these days. Go ahead.
19. Exodus chapter 25, verse 19. And make one cherubim on the one end, and the other cherubim on the other end. Even of the mercy seat shall ye make the cherubim on the two ends thereof. And the cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the seat, the mercy seat with their wings, and their faces shall look unto the other. Toward the mercy seat shall their faces of the cherubim be. And thou shalt put the mercy seat above upon the ark, and in the ark shalt thou put the testimony that I shall give thee.
The what?
The testimony.
The what?
The testimony.
The testimony is the prophecy about how he's going to bring us back to rulership. Our fall and our rise back up again. Everything written in the law, we're going to see examples of the testimony contained in the mercy seat or in the ark of the covenant law that we carried amongst with us. Go ahead.
22. And there I will meet with thee.
And there what?
I will meet with thee.
The Most High will show up. He will show up when we do that according to his precepts. Go ahead.
And there I will meet with thee, and I will commune with thee from above.
From where?
From above the
because
mercy seat.
As heaven, so also earth. A synchronicity between heaven and earth. Today, we don't have it, and hence, we are suffering. We are in a battle. We need the mercy seat. Christ have done it now, but they still need a gathering to put us together for the final battle. The 12 tribes. Go ahead.
And I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat, from between the two cherubims, which are upon the ark of the testimony, and of all things which I will give thee in commandment.
In what?
In commandment.
Who is he giving this to?
Unto the children of Israel.
Be Israel. So the commandment, all these things go hand in hand for us to win battles. They all go hand in hand. We made everything. When we were righteous, we win our battles. And you're going to find out the Thanksgiving that we've been celebrating is one of the greatest signs of our defeat. This Thanksgiving is one of the greatest signs of our loss in battle. So here we go. Let's show that. Numbers now. We are a nation built for war. Our power is the power of war. Who is he fighting? He's fighting against the forces of darkness that has controlled the Gentile government. So when we are up, they are down. When we are down, they are up. Let's look at that. We're going to look at Numbers chapter 1, verse 1. Looking at that we are built for war. And we are losing the battle now. Numbers chapter 1, verse 1.
Numbers chapter 1, verse 1.
Make sure everyone is there. Numbers chapter 1,
verse 1. And it reads, The Most High spake unto Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai.
So he made the mercy seat, the ark of the covenant that we're going to be carrying with us everywhere we go to war. Now he's speaking to us now in Sinai, Mount Sinai, Haro Sinai, which is the big mountain of Sinai, or Sinai in English. Read it again, please.
Numbers chapter 1, verse 1. And the Most High spake unto Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation of the first day of the second month, in the second year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying.
Notice that he did not name any of these months and any of these days by name, like January, February, March. The Most High don't have, he just gives them numbers. Letting you know, because you understand that the Gentiles will use that to reverence their gods. And we shouldn't even be, we know we're in Babylon, but we shouldn't really miss, as much as possible, we should try to speak like he speaks. The first month, the second day of the month, however, but nonetheless, because whenever you speak this thing, the gods of the Gentile are coming out of our mouth. Christ is coming to take it away from our mouth, like he said. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Take ye the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel, after their families, by the house of their fathers.
By the house of their what?
Of their fathers.
Of their fathers. Go ahead.
With the number of their names, every male by their polls, from 20 years old and upward.
From 20 years old and what?
And upward.
This is a draft. what you seen in the Bible, the military draft that America conducts, that the powers of the world conducts, is also in the Bible. They're learning from us. What is the draft?
All that are able to go forth to war in Israel.
All that are able to go forth to what?
To go forth to war in Israel.
Go ahead.
Thou and Aaron shall number them by their armies.
Aharon shall what?
Number them by their armies.
By their armies. Their military. The Most High prepared the nation for war. We have the priesthood. You have the kingship. You have the scribes, the writers of the law. You have the prophet, the office of the prophet. Then you have the armies and the forces. Go ahead.
4. And with you there shall be a man of every tribe, everyone head of the house of his father. And these are the names of the men that shall stand with you of the tribe of Reuben.
Of the tribe of what?
Of the tribe of Reuben.
Reubenites, the Aborigines of Australia and the Seminole Indians in Florida, been destroyed because we broke the covenant that was written in the mercy seat, suffering today. They were in the battle. Go ahead.
Of the tribe of Reuben, Eleazar, the son of Shedor. Of the tribe of Simeon.
Of the tribe of what?
Simeon.
Shimon. That's a Hebrew name. Dominicans. Go ahead.
Shelumel, the son of Zerushadai. Of Judah.
Of who?
Judah.
Yehuda. The Negroes, African Americans, the Igbos, the people enslaved coast of Africa, majority in Cameroon, all the way down to Angola. They are the tribe of Judah that will be brought to even Brazil. Judah is in Brazil. Judah is in Haiti. They are also in West Indies. Go ahead.
Of Judah, Nashon, the son of Aminadab.
Aminadebe. Amanodebe. That's an Igbo name. Go ahead.
Of Issachar.
Issaquah, the Mexicans. Go ahead.
Of Issachar, Nathaniel, the son of Zur.
Nathaniel Ale. That's the Mexicans that were actually part of the 12 tribe of Israel. Go ahead.
Of Zebulun, Eliab, the son of Helen.
Eliab. Igbo names. Zebulun. That's the people that went where? Panama, right? The Panama Canal. Zebulun. Go ahead.
Of the children of Joseph.
The children of Yasaph. That's the Puerto Ricans.
Of Ephraim.
Ephraim. That's the Ephraimites. Puerto Ricans. Ipurohaim. Go ahead.
Elishama, the son of Aminahud.
Elishama. Elishamalo, let the Most High hear. These are all Igbo names. The Negroes in the slave coast of Africa. Our language. We know all these people by names. Go ahead.
Of Manasseh, Gamaliel.
That's the Cubans. Manasseh. Go ahead.
Gamaliel, the son of Pedazur. Of Benjamin.
Benjamin. That's the one that went into the Akan people in slave coast of Africa. That also went into Jamaica and West Indies. Yoruba. The old Oyo Empire. Benjamin. Go ahead.
Of Benjamin, Abidan, the son of Gideoni. Of Dan, Ahiezer. Of Dan.
Now we know that Dan moved to Europe and became a serpent in the grass. The tribe of Dan, or Donald, the word Donald means to strive. He began to link with the European power, begin to fight against the nation of Israel. It's a book that will go into one of these teaching, when we go into the teaching of the Middle East and the Dark Age, to show you how they became the Danites, or which is what you call the you have Danite, or what you call Denmark. At last they moved to Europe. We have that history as well. What happened to the tribe of Dan, as you don't see them in Revelation chapter 7, not being counted as a tribe in Israel anymore, because they became a serpent in the grass. Go ahead.
Of Dan, Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai.
Achiezer, the son of who?
Ammishaddai.
Ammishaddai. Go ahead.
Of Asher, Pagiel, the son of Okra.
Asher, South America. South Americans. All the way from Guatemala, Brazil, Argentina, where you have rich oil reserves. Asher. Come on.
Of Gad.
Guadalo. Who?
Of Gad.
Guadalo. That's Gad, the North American Indians that are being destroyed in America today. Totally. Go ahead.
Eliasaph, the son of Duel.
They were all in the battle. From all the 12 tribes of Israel, this is how we prepared for war. Go ahead.
Of Naphtali, Ahira.
Naphtali. That's the Fijians, the Polynesians, the people that went into, even the people suffering in Japan, some of them suffering, the Hawaiians. Absolutely. Thank you, sister. They're being destroyed, scattered. There's a calling of these people to rise up and understand their deception and understand that we've been destroyed. And one of the biggest signs of this is this Thanksgiving. Go ahead.
Of Naphtali, Ahira, the son of Enan. And these were the renown of the congregation, princes of the tribes of their fathers.
Princes of the what?
Of the tribes of their father.
What verse is that?
Verse 16.
Verse 16. Go ahead.
Heads of thousands in Israel, and Moshe and Aharon took these men, which are expressed by their names, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their poll.
When Christ returns, it's going to happen again. Go ahead.
19. As the Most High commanded Moses, so he numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai.
Come on.
And the children of Reuben, of Israel's oldest son, by their generations after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, by their polls, every male from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war.
All that were able to go forth to what?
To war.
The Most High is a man of war. He prepared a nation that he used for his battle axe. We are used to beat down the nations. So when we fail, what's going to happen to us? The Most High is going to beat us down. That's why the testimony is there. Go ahead.
21. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Reuben, were 46,500.
Ready to go to war. Go ahead.
Of the children of Simeon, by their generations, after their families, by the house of their fathers, those that were numbered of them, according to the number of the names, by their polls, every male from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. And those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Simeon, were 59,300.
Ready to go to war. Brothers and sisters who were built for war, and we're losing the battle, a spiritual and physical battle of wisdom, knowledge, and might. Christ is bringing the final battle. That's why they know that the nation of Israel is built for war. And we're not ready for war. We're not ready to do the war of intelligence, of intellectual, of the battle that when Christ empowers us again and raises us back up again, we're going to terrorize the earth and establish a righteous government, because every government is by conquest. And we're going to see how we were conquered in America and worldwide. And this Thanksgiving signifies that. The nation of Israel was built for war, still built for war, the righteous war, holy war. And that's why you hear jihad. They're practicing their own version of holy war against who? Against us. Same thing with Esau, fighting against us in their so-called Christianity. Crusades. So-called holy war destroyed our people worldwide. Go ahead.
24. And of the children of Gad, by their generations after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upwards, all that were able to go forth to war. Those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Gad, were 45,650.
See that? The North American Indians that were destroyed here were fighting. We controlled the whole world at one point. We got the greatest military with the Ark of the Covenant in the middle, with the mercy seat, the presence of the Most High with us. And no one can conquer us. We are a nation. We are a nation. The Bible is the book of a nation scattered and pillaged worldwide. Where are they? Where are the nations that are roll calling? Why are the church not identifying them? Why are they making mockery of them through their pagan holidays? And we call ourselves Christians. I'm trying to bring the information about our people. They say it doesn't matter anymore. Where are these people that gave you Christ, that gave you the apostles, that gave you the disciples? Go ahead.
26. And of the children of Judah, by their generations.
The children of who?
Children of Judah.
Yehuda, the Negroes, the Igbos, the Mandingos, the people in Cameroon, our people scattered in America, in the ghettos, suffering worldwide. Where are they? We got to rise up, man. It's not about one man. It's about a nation rising to take their position in the earth for rulership. Come on.
Of the children of Judah, by their generations after their families, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war, those that were numbered of them, even of the tribe of Judah, were 14,600.
You can stop right there, but you can read the rest at your own time. Each tribe was identified of the nation of Israel. This is bigger than religion. It's bigger than anything. It's about the holy people rising up to assume their position in the earth to establish righteousness and pure holiness when we have defeated the powers of darkness under Christ. Read verse 45.
Verse 45 says,
Start from verse 44.
These are those that were numbered, which Moses and Aaron.
Mushi and who?
And Aaron.
Aharonu in Hebrew. Go ahead.
Numbered, and the princes of Israel, being 12 men, each one was for the house of his father.
You see that? He had then selected 12 people from the 12 tribes of Israel representing the nation. Who's going to do the work to bind us together again? Christ. But we are his servants to declare the truth, to wake him up and prepare them for what is coming. Go ahead.
So 45. So were all those that were numbered of the children of Israel by the house of their fathers, from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war in Israel, even all that were numbered were 600,000 and 3,550.
That's the powerful military under King David. The 12 tribes of Israel. Each tribe have their different part, different skill that they have, ready to go to war against other nations. You think they want this nation to wake up? Do you really think that they want us to know who we are? No, they don't. Now when you got NATO, now when you got American government, now when you got being enlisted in their military to fight against our own self, that's a person that has been delusionalized and deceived. Amazing. Amazing. Let's go to the book of Numbers. Numbers, right? Chapter 2 now. I'm picking up from verse 1. How the Most High took us out to the war. That's the powerful military that will be scattered worldwide when we begin to fall and fall as a nation. Sin makes you powerless. Numbers. Because the war is a righteous war. We don't lose sin in war. When you're a spiritual battle, you got to be clean. You got to be righteous. Numbers chapter 2, verse 1.
Numbers chapter 2, verse 1. And the Most High spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, Every man of the children of Israel shall pitch by his own standard with the ensign of their father's house, far off above the tabernacle of the congregation.
So there's a symbol. There's a symbol for each father or the patriarch that we actually arranged for war. Each fighter has to be under his father's house fighting from that position. Go ahead.
And on the east side, toward the rising of the sun, shall they of the standard of the camp of Judah pitch throughout their armies.
Judah, Yehuda, is a position where?
On the east side.
The east side, go ahead.
And Nahshon, the son of Amminadab, shall be the captain of the children of Judah.
Amminadab, the captain of the children of Judah, on the east side, where we're positioned when we go to war. Go ahead.
And his hosts, and those that were numbered of them, were 314, 100,600.
Ready to go to war from the tribe of Judah, Yehuda. The host, again, is the Hebrew word of the day, Soba. Ready to go to war. Go ahead.
5. And those that do pitch next unto him shall be the tribe of Issachar.
Issachar, right next to Yehuda. The Mexicans, right next to us. Go ahead.
And Nathaniel, the son of Zuar, shall be the captain of the children of Issachar.
Go ahead.
And his host and those that were numbered thereof were 50 and 4,400.
That's how powerful that military was, man. Who could ever defeat this military? Powerful. When you got the mercy seat with us, go ahead.
And Judah actually went first.
And Judah went first. Judah is the leader always. Go ahead.
Then the tribe of Zebulun and Eliab the son of Helen shall be captain of the children of Zebulun.
Zebulun, Panamanians, go ahead.
And his host and those that were numbered thereof were 50 and 7,400.
Come on.
And all that were numbered in the camp of Judah were 100,000 and 400,000 and 6,400 throughout their armies. These shall first set forth, and on the south
See
side.
that? So this is on the east. That actually in a war against to fight to gain our kingdom back. Who can we call out of the tribe of Judah? Out of the tribe of Zebulun? Who can we call out of the tribe of Issachar to participate in this battle once again in the final frontier? We've been demolished. Go ahead.
On the verse 10. And on the south side shall be the standard of the camp of the Reuben according to their armies. And the captain of the children of Reuben shall be Eleazar, the son of Shedur. And his host and those that were numbered thereof were 40 and 6,500. And those which pitched by him shall be the tribe of Simeon.
Tribe of Shimano.
And the captain of the children of Simeon shall be Shelumiel,
Go ahead.
the son of Zerushadai. And his host and those that were numbered of them were 50 and 9,000 and 300.
That's how powerful they were. Millions of people involved in the nation of Israel for the battle. Over 2 million people ready to fight. Think about that. Today, we can even recognize where they are, how much you've been demolished. Go ahead.
14. Then the tribe of Gad and the captain of the sons of Gad shall be Eliasaph.
The North American Indians. Eliasaph, to cleanse his face, the Most High to cleanse him. Go ahead.
The son of Ruel, and his host and those that were numbered of them were 40 and 5,650. All that were numbered in the camp of Reuben were 100,050 and 1,450 throughout their armies. And they shall set forth in the second rank. Then the tabernacle of the congregation shall set forward with the camp of the Levites in the midst of the camp.
In the midst of the what?
In the midst of the camp.
Why?
As they encamp, so shall they set forward, every man in his place by their standards.
So the Levites will be in the middle with the Ark of the Covenant with us.
Because they're not even counted.
They're not, yeah, he's going to tell us that they're not even counted. Yes. The priests, that's how the Most High set up the nation to structure them. Everybody have their own position around the mercy seat. It hasn't changed. The battle, we're still in this battle. If we can, that's why there's so much campaign, psychological war, through the school system, through the mass media, through education, through everything, man, through religion, through the air you breathe. They are planning to kill our people because they understand that we are built for war. Go ahead.
Verse 18, Numbers chapter 2, verse 18. On the west side shall be the standard of the camp of Ephraim.
Ephraim, the Puerto Ricans.
According to their armies. And the captain of the sons of Ephraim shall be Elishama, the son of Amihud. And his host, those that were numbered of them, were 40,500. And by him shall be the tribe of Manasseh. And the captain of the children of Manasseh shall be Gamaliel.
That's the Manasseh, the Cubans. Go ahead. Their brother.
The son of Pedazur. And his host, and those that were numbered of them, were 32,200. Then the tribe of Benjamin, and captain of the son of Benjamin shall
That's
be.
the old Oyo Empire, and the people the people that went into Jamaica and West Indies. The majority of them over there are their people. Go ahead, our people.
Then the tribe of Benjamin, and those and the captain of the sons of Benjamin shall be Abidan, the son of Gideoni, and his host, and those that were numbered of them were 35,400.
Israel is built for war, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
All that were numbered of the camp of Ephraim were 100,000, 8,000, and 100 throughout their armies, and they shall go forward in the third rank.
The third rank, then he's going to go into the fourth rank. That's how the nation, on both sides, front, back, left, and right, covered with a mercy seat in the middle that is being carried by the sons of Levites. Let's come down to verse 32.
Verse 32 says, these are those which were numbered of the children of Israel by the house of their fathers, all those that were numbered of the camps throughout their host were 600,550.
Notice that there's no women involved here. So when you see America drafting women for war, that's an abomination.
That's right.
Women are not supposed to go to war. It's the man's duty to fight for the women, to fight for the nation. That's why the nation of women don't lead the nation. Men lead the nation. Amazing. But now they're teaching us equality and feminist movements, and our women don't understand how to be behind their men. The women was actually at home praising the Most High, can now wait for their husband to come back from war.
That's right.
And when their husband died, they get the message, they cry and they weep and they just get carry dust and just pound on themselves. They're praying at home, calling on the Most High, go destroy the nation. Now today we get our women fighting against us with the nations. Our family fighting against us with the nations. And you're trying to bring the truth to them. They don't understand that they are a nation. We've been conquered. It's about conquest and rulership. Amazing. Go ahead.
33. But the Levites were not numbered among the children of Israel, as the Most High commanded Moses. And the children of Israel did according to all that the Most High commanded Moses. So they pitched by their standards, and so they set forward every one after their families according to the house of their fathers.
And we did it there. That's when we obeyed the Most High. And we won all our battles. You see that? That's how we prepared for war when we were in Jerusalem. You see how diverse the nation of Israel, they were all dark-skinned, brown-skinned men, Israelites back then, before we were totally demolished. Let's go now to the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 12. 1 Chronicles chapter 12 verse 18. And one of the symbols of this warrior is the tribe of Gad. You hear them being mentioned and being mentioned. They were the ones that was doing a lot of war. They fought. They were powerful warriors, man. The North American Indians that will be displaced here in America. Let's read about them. Really?
1 Chronicles chapter 12 verse 18. Then the Spirit came upon Amasai.
1 Chronicles chapter 12 verse 8. I'm sorry. It's not 18. Correction. It's verse 8.
1 Chronicles chapter 12 verse 8 reads, and of the Gadites they separated themselves unto David into the hold to witness.
Read that again.
Wilderness. And of the Gadites were separated themselves unto David into the hold to the wilderness, men of might and men of war.
Men of what?
Men of might and men of war.
King David understood how powerful the Gadites were, man. They are known to one of the fiercest warrior, became the American warriors. They became the greatest warriors on American front lines here. They've been so dehumanized and debased. But David understood their King David, and he separated them for what? Men of what?
Men of war.
Mighty men of what?
Let me read from the beginning again. And of the Gadites, they separated themselves unto David into the hold to the wilderness, men of might and men of war.
Men of might and men of what?
Of war.
Go ahead.
Fit for battle.
Fit for what?
For battle.
Come on.
That could handle shield and buckler, whose faces were like the face of lions, and were as swift as the roes upon the mountain.
They're like gazelle. That's how quick they were on the mountain. They fought. And that's who you see in your cowboy movie fighting against. You have the Indians against the cowboy, riding the horses and chariots, fighting here in America to survive. Amazing. North American Indians that will be destroyed on the Thanksgiving Day to make mockery of the nation is the symbol of our war. They symbolized the fierceness under the rankings of King David, the fierceness of the nation of Israel. You see this man, you don't even want to come face to face against this. Think about how the world was built for war. Amazing battle. Now we know that Christ brought a grace. We now actually try, because they got all the best weapon now. The devil has empowered them. So that's why Christ brought the grace for us. Because he knows that we're not going to be fighting like they're fighting today until Christ's second coming. So now he gave us a dispensation of time to operate in wisdom of our mind and grace. Well, look at the military of China. Look at the military of Pakistan, of India. Look at the military of Iran. Look at the military of European Union. We can't even, we've been destroyed. How can we stand up against them? They're not even mentioning us. We don't even exist. But the Most High still knows that nation is still there. His people, Christ is coming to raise them back up again. In the meantime, they're making mockery with us because of these Thanksgiving holidays, using them. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, where we made a contract. What will happen to us? Deuteronomy 28, verse 1.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Most High thy power.
This is the testimony against us in the Ark of the Covenant. To go to war, you have to go to a holy war, righteous war. Come on.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Most High thy power will set thee on high, above all nations.
Above all what?
Above all nations.
Now you see why he built the military. So when you see the nation, America, beefing up their military, they got barracks and military stations across the world. They got it in Nigeria. They got it into United Arab Emirates. They got it in Iraq. They got it in Saudi Arabia. They got it in Afghanistan. Look around everywhere in the world. And billions of dollars funding them. They spend more capital allocated for war than anything else, because they know that there's a people that must be kept in blindness and kept subjugated worldwide. Go ahead.
And all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power.
Commandment brings blessing. Commandment brings what? Blessings. Disobedience brings the what? A curse. We know the nation of Israel did not keep it. We fell. So we're not going to be above all the nations. We're going to be below all the nations. Jump down to verse 15 real quick.
15 says, and it shall come to pass, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses.
All these what?
All these curses.
All these curses shall what?
Shall come upon thee.
Come on.
And overtake thee.
And he's going to chase the physical people. Come on.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Everywhere we are scattered as a nation. Let's look at some of the curses. Jump down to verse 25.
25 says, the Most High shall curse thee with the cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies.
We're going to be losing battles. We're not going to be winning battle. Why are the Jewish Zionists winning their wars when they're not supposed to be winning? The real Jews are not supposed to be winning their wars. They have won every war since they moved into the land of Jerusalem since 1948, while the real Jews are in diaspora being plundered. And they're funding our destruction. The Most High shall cause us to be what?
Shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies.
Come on.
Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them.
That's, go ahead.
And thou shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
We shall be what?
Thou shalt be removed.
Thou shalt be what?
Thou shalt be removed.
This is the testimony, brothers and sisters, that will happen to us in our mercy seat. That's exactly what happened to us because of disobedience. So when we're telling our people to repent and put down the deceptions that the nation gave us, they're still fighting against us. Go to verse 49. So the real Jews are going to be scattered.
Removed into
The
all
Mexicans,
the kingdoms of the earth.
The Puerto Ricans, the North American Indians, the Igbos, the African Americans, the Jamaicans, the West Indies. We've been scattered. And Thanksgiving, you see, is a sign of our defeat. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 49. The Most High shall bring a nation against thee from far.
From where?
From far.
What nation?
From the end of the earth. As swift as the eagle flight.
As swift as the what?
As the eagle flight.
We saw that in previous teaching. What's the symbol of Rome?
Eagle.
The eagle. What's the symbol of Greece? The eagle. What's the symbol of America?
Eagle.
Canada.
Eagle.
The symbol of Nigeria.
Eagle.
The symbol of everywhere they conquered.
Eagle.
Western civilization, the eagle is in your currency, in your flag, letting you know who defeated us. Come on.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 49. The Most High shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flight, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance,
a nation that you're not going to understand their language, of fierce countenance, come on,
which shall not regard the persons of old, nor show favor to the young.
The same thing is now also happening in corporate America. You see, our parents working in corporate America, they don't even respect them. She's actually older. They have a young person telling an older person what to do, just like they did to us in slavery. They didn't care if you were gray hair. They did that to North America. You weren't going to read that in history. Go ahead.
51. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle.
They're going to be exploiting our resources.
And the fruit of thy land.
The resources of our land.
Until thou be destroyed.
And we have been destroyed as a nation indeed. Fighting amongst ourselves. The divide and conquer. What verse was that?
This is verse 51.
Jump down to verse 64.
Verse 64.
63.
And it reads, And it shall come to pass, that as the Most High rejoiced over you to do you good.
When he put us to be the greatest nation and chose all this powerful military, and he was happy to take the nations that were doing idolatry, it will come to pass as he rejoiced to do us good. Go ahead.
And to multiply you.
And made us multiply as we read it. This was just the military that we read. We haven't even read the rest of the nations of Israel. What will happen?
So the Most High will rejoice over you to destroy you.
To what?
To destroy
the
you.
The Most High is a man of war. He's going to be our own destroyer. He will take away the protection from us. Go ahead.
And to bring you to naught.
And bring us to what?
To naught.
To nothing. He will bring us to nothing. Go ahead.
And ye shall be plucked from off the land.
The nation of Israel. Negroes, Latinos, North American Indians flying into America, going into Egypt. He's going to destroy us. The nation that was once together as brothers and sisters. To destroy us, come on.
And ye shall be plucked from off the land.
So we're not going to be in Jerusalem anymore. We're going to be removed from our land. And we have been removed. Go ahead.
Whither thou goest to possess it.
Come on.
And the Most High shall scatter thee among all people.
And after we are removed, we're going to be scattered. Among all people. Come on.
From the one end of the earth, even unto the other.
That's why Christ is coming to get us from the four corners of the earth. Come on.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
What kind of religion will we be practicing in diaspora?
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
What kind of gods?
which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
False religion. So wherever you find the Israelites, we're going to be under the same gods. Exactly where we are today. Christianity, Islam, paganism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jehovah's Witnesses, all this occultist religion was set up to convert the holy people and keep us in ignorance. And you're telling our people they don't want to hear it. Go ahead.
Among these nations thou shalt find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. For the Most High shall give thee there a trembling of heart, and failing of eyes, sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life.
They were lynching our people here in America. Go ahead.
In the morning thou shalt say, Would God it was even.
With the Most High it was evening.
And at even thou shalt say,
I wish to Elohim it were what?
It were morning.
Why?
For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear.
That's it. Go ahead.
And for the sight of thine eyes wherewith thou shalt see.
That captured the mentality of the first Negro slaves that were brought to America, taken from the slave coast of Africa. We want to see how they got there. Go ahead.
And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
We're going to be brought back into what?
Egypt again with ships.
With ships. We're going to be brought to slavery. Egypt means the house of bondage. Again with ships. Come on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
We're not going to be in our land again. We're longing for our land. We're longing for true rest. We're longing for holy Jerusalem until the second coming of Christ. Why?
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
Slave men and slave women. The Israelites are known for slavery and bondage. Us. The 12 tribes. Come on.
And no man shall buy you.
The law of redemption. Christ is the redeeming Savior, the kinsman redeemer that will come to gather us from the four corners of the earth. That's what we are waiting for. That's what we are working for. That's the battle to reverse the psychological destruction on our people, to tell them about the physical destruction by the powers that be. Here we go. Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verse 1. The biggest problem of our people is idolatry. Exodus, well, let's go to, 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 1. Idolatry. So if they can trick the nation of Israel to follow other gods, they got us. 2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 1.
2 Kings, chapter 17, verse 1. In the 12th year of Ahaz, king of Judah.
Hold on. I think you can pick up from verse 7, right? 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 7. Let me get there too. Go ahead.
2 Kings chapter 17, verse 7. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Most High their power, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and had feared other gods.
And had what?
And had feared other gods.
We began to worship other gods. We began to deal with paganism. What happened?
And walked in the statues of the heathen.
We walked in the what?
In the statues of the heathen.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter. Back then, it was Babylonian worship. Back then, it was from the ancient Babylon. The statues of the heathens, go ahead.
And walked in the statues of the heathen, whom the Most High cast out from before the children of Israel.
Go ahead.
And of the kings of Israel, which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against the Most High their power, and they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchmen to the fenced city. And they set them up images and groves in every high hill, and under every green tree. And they burnt incense in all the high places, as did the heathen, whom the Most High carried away before them, and wrought wicked things.
So we use the military to take down the heathens, and we begin to do like the heathens. Now the Most High begins to do us like he did the heathens, because he became our enemy and began to war against us. And we wrought wicked things, go ahead,
to provoke the Most High to anger. For they served idols, whereof the Most High had said unto them, Ye shall not do this thing. Yet the Most High testified against Israel, against Judah, by all the prophets.
By all the what?
By all the prophets.
What testimony were they using?
And
the one in the Bible. Like we're testifying today to our nation. Come on.
By all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, Turn ye from your evil ways and keep my commandments.
And keep my what?
My commandments.
The commandment is the secret for our success. We have an omen, an agreement, an oath, a covenant. Go ahead.
And turn ye from your evil ways and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to the law which I commanded ye your fathers, and which I set to you by servant the prophets. Notwithstanding, they would not hear, but hardened their necks, like the neck of their fathers, that did not believe in the Most High their power.
Just like today, they hardened their what?
Their necks.
Our people hardened their necks. You bring them the truth, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to obey. Amazing. Go ahead.
And they rejected his statutes and his covenants that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies which he testified against them.
The same testimony that was in the mercy seat like we read. Go ahead.
And they followed vanity and became vain.
When you follow vanity, you become what?
They became vain.
Vain. Materialistic. Worldly. We are supposed to be a holy people. We're supposed to value meaning, life. Man, our people is so deep and profound when we value family, we value truth, righteousness, we value the Most High. It's all ingrained in us. Today, we become so vain. We value the blame. We value the money, the fame, the fortune. We value the accolades, the so-called Western thinkers. We are different from them. Go ahead.
And became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them.
Our people went after the what?
The heathen that were round about them.
And they begin to teach us their ways. Go ahead.
Concerning whom the Most High charged them that they should not do like them. And they left all the commandments of the Most High their power, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven.
And worshipped what?
All the hosts of heaven.
Learn not the ways of the heathen, and do not what?
And
do not look at dismayed at the
signs of heaven.
The signs, the starry hosts, the fallen angels, the demigods that you see in Greek mythology, Zeus, the planetes. These are fallen angels. So they would deceive you. That's why Apostle Paul was writing, say, which do not be beguiled by involuntary worshiping of angels. They're going to mislead you to a whole different deity. So we have to be wiser, understanding what we're doing. Even if it's in Christianity, paganism, put it down. Repent quickly and come back to be numbered among the saints in righteousness. Go ahead.
And made a grove, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served Baal.
Come on.
And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to evil in the sight of the Most High, to provoke him to anger. Therefore, the Most High was very angry with Israel. And removed them out of his sight.
The northern kingdom of... He removed the northern kingdom out of his sight, which was Jerusalem. Go ahead.
There was none left but the tribe of Judah only.
The Negroes that were left in southern kingdom, the northern left to captivity. Here comes us, the Igbos, left. The Yorubas, the Benin people, the Cameroonians, the Angolans, so-called what they call today, the African Americans, the Jamaicans and West Indies. Our people are across in Brazil, Haiti. There they are. Go ahead.
19. Also Judah kept not the commandment of the Most High their power, but walked in the statutes of Israel, which they made.
The lost 10 tribes.
And the Most High rejected all the seed of Israel.
He rejected what?
All the seed of Israel.
All the seed Go ahead.
And afflicted them.
And he began to fight against us, allowed our enemies to win against us, as he said. Go ahead.
And delivered them into the hand of spoilers.
Our enemies begin to win against us.
Until he had cast them out of his sight.
Amazing. Come on.
For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drave Israel from following the Most High, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did. They departed not from them.
That's the northern kingdom, the Puerto Ricans. We followed them into idolatry. Go ahead.
Until the Most High removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants, the prophets.
Come on.
So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day.
So starting from that time, they went into Assyria. At the time of this account, they were in Assyria. But we're going to see that they're also going to move to Assyria and become the indigenous people in America. Hence, they took it out of the Bible. Amazing. Amazing. Let's go to 2nd Ezra and read that real quick. When they went to Assyria, that's what happened to them. So we need to see the battle. We're losing our battle consistently now. We'll be forced out of our land, forced into worldwide diaspora. 2nd Ezra. We're going to read there. Chapter 13, verse 39. 2nd Ezra. In your apocrypha, the one they took so that we can now connect all the dots. Chapter 13, verse 39. This is Christ gathering the 12 tribes. 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 39.
Verse 39 says, And whereas thou sawest that he gathereth another peaceable multitude
that he what?
He gathereth.
It's a whole vision about Christ gathering and fighting against the nation in the final battle. This dream of Ezra 13 is so profound. We don't have a complete teaching on there soon. Go ahead.
And whereas thou sawest that he gathereth another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land.
The 10 tribes that were carried away what?
Prisoners.
Prisoners, like we read in 2 Kings, out of their what?
Out of their own land.
Go ahead.
In the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
And so came they into where?
Another land.
So they went to Assyria and ultimately left Assyria, came into another land. Go ahead.
But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
We knew we were a holy people. We couldn't be among the heathens. Go ahead.
And go forth into a further country where never mankind dwell.
Where what?
Never mankind dwell.
The New World. The first indigenous of America that they will be destroyed to set up Thanksgiving mockery are our people that came to North Central South America. The first people that came to this land. They were dark-skinned and brown-skinned people too. That's why you see the archaeology that was discovered in America. A land where never mankind dwelt. Go ahead.
That they might there keep their statutes, which they'd never kept in their own land.
See that? Because we know that we gotta live righteously. It's ingrained in our culture. However, we be snagged. We are scattered now. All the prophecy will be fulfilled on us. Go ahead.
43. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them.
The Most High then showed what?
Showed signs for them.
Signs and wonders, like he did when we crossed the Red Sea from ancient Egypt. Go ahead.
And held still the flood.
Calm the flood.
Till they were passed over.
Till we passed over.
For through their country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Azareth.
The same region is called what?
Azareth.
Azareth, the hidden land, America, that was unknown to the old world. We were the first people to discover it. The Most High, through his spirit, led us into it, because by prophecy, we're going to be the occupiers of those land to fulfill all righteousness. Go ahead.
Okay, so then dwelt they there until the latter time.
They're gonna the lost 10 tribes are gonna be in Azareth or the hidden land, or the new world, which now we know as America, until the war time,
the later time,
the end times, where we are. So if you're looking for the lost 10 tribes, they're in America. They're here. Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, the Aztecas, the Mayans, the Peruvian, the South American, the Brazilians, the indigenous people, they are in island of Hispaniola. They're scattered. This Thanksgiving holiday is a mockery of their destruction, as you will see. We're not supposed to celebrate it according to the law and according to the battle that we find ourselves confronted against forces of darkness. Go ahead.
And now, when they shall begin to come, the Most High, the highest, shall stay the springs of the stream again, and that they might go through, therefore sowest thou the multitude with peace.
Therefore sowest thou the what?
The multitude with peace.
Because when you saw this prophetic vision, Christ is destroying the European powers and raising his people back up again that actually believe in him. He will also destroy our people that are not keeping his commandments. So we read that in the Apocrypha, the authorized Bible verse. Now we're going to read the same thing in history, a book called The Feast and Wisdoms of the Ancients. This is actually put together by Times Magazine, Times, one of the major publishers of history. We're going to read an account here real quickly, how they migrated to America from history. Let's read that from here, page 118. The book is again called Feast and Wisdoms of the Ancients. Let's read it.
We are the sons of Canaan from Sidon, begins the manuscript. It is written in Phoenician language.
It is written in what?
In Phoenician language.
Hebrew is a what?
Phoenician language.
Phoenician, the ancient, original people that dwelt over there. We took over them, and now we even call us a language of Phoenix, which is exactly why they were in Jerusalem. Go ahead.
We are sons of Canaan from Sidon, begins the manuscript. It is written in Phoenician language used some 500 years before the birth of Christ. In only 8 lines, it tells a story of voyage around Africa, of storm, human sacrifice, and salvation on the shores of what is now Brazil.
On the shores of what?
What is now Brazil.
South America. A voyage across Africa through the island of Madagascar, coming down to the southern tip of South Africa, crossing the Atlantic Ocean on the shores of what became what? Brazil. Borozo, which is iron, a Hebrew word in the Bible. Brazil is a Hebrew word, by the way.
And the sacrifice is to God.
And the sacrifice is to Most High, thanking him that he actually took us. So the Gentiles don't understand why we do what we do. They think it's human sacrifice.
Yep.
And we're sacrificing to the Heavenly Father based on our Hebrew custom for taking us through across the waters. Go ahead.
If it was indeed left by a Phoenician sailor, the text memorizes an ancient visit to the New World.
The text memorizes an ancient visit to the world.
To the New World.
And we know that the Bible said that the ones that came into the New World were who? The lost 10 tribes. The first prophecy. Go ahead.
It symbolizes memorizes an ancient visit to the New World, long suspected by some scholars. If not, the Pariba inscription, as it is called, is among history's more intriguing hoaxes.
It's not a hoax, it's a fact. It's not even up for debate, but they don't want to admit it. The scholars of the world want to obscure this truth. But we know what the prophecy says because they don't even believe the Bible. So how can they believe it? Go ahead.
In 1872, Ladislau Neto, the director of Brazil's National Museum of Rio de Janeiro, received from a colleague of a copy of a letter. Its author, who was never found, described a stone tablet unearthed by waters on a plantation in Pariba, now called João Pessoa, at Brazil's easternmost tip Neto. Putting aside his initial doubt about the inscription, published the text in 1874 after unsuccessfully seeking the original tablet and the letter writers. The inscription was promptly branded a fraud by experts in Phoenician language.
So now you see the people that so-called claim to be experts in Phoenician language, European, as you know, they say it's not what it is. But let's find out what happened.
And a long simmering public debate ensued. Finally, Neto himself, after 10 years of professional and personal agony, recanted his belief in the text authenticity. Until the late 1960s, the case seemed settled and was virtually forgotten. Then Cyrus Gordon, an American scholar of Semitic language.
Now the word Semitic is supposed to be Shem, which is we speak a Shemitic language. Hebrew is a Shemitic language because we came through the seed of Shem, not Ham. Go ahead.
I said, then Cyrus Gordon, an American scholar of Semitic language, studied the text and declared it authentic.
Declared it what?
Authentic.
That is actually Hebrew, Shemitic language, our language, that was spoken here in America. We saw in many history books already that they spoke Hebrew in America. All the names of towns and villages here like Ohio, Toledo, Chicago, Okeechobee. These are all Hebrew names that you see everywhere. You have in the tombs everywhere. Our people are still here, but they're hiding this information, part of the covert war. Go ahead.
Then Cyrus Gordon, an American scholar of Semitic language, studied the text and declared it authentic, ironically, for some of the same reasons that it was adjudged fraudulent nearly a century before.
So they reversed what they believe because now they authenticated it.
So-called
again, we don't need their authentication. The Bible is the only authentic book we need. We don't need their scholarship. We're just using that to let you know that what they're hiding and confirming that what Heavenly Father is saying in the Holy Scriptures are true. Go ahead.
So-called inaccuracies of vocabulary and grammar cited by critics in 1874 have become by 1968 mere idiosyncrasies of dialects, similarities between the inscriptions and ancient Hebrew.
And ancient what?
Ancient Hebrew.
Ancient Hebrew. That's what the language they spoke here when they got. We saw that many history already. We still speak ancient Hebrew, the Igbos. Enslaved coast of Africa. We're going to see how we got there. Go ahead.
An ancient Hebrew, once considered evidence of deceit, had since been documented as normal among Phoenicians, a people who mixed readily with a number of other cultures. Moreover, Gordon's analysis seemed to reveal no fewer than 3 saptograms buried in tale. One, typical of ancient manuscript, includes numbers that, when added, confirms the dates given by the writer. The other codes, according to Gordon, tells the story once again from the point of view of both a Canaanite pagan and a Jewish crewman or Jew crewman. The cryptogram he claimed were evidence of authenticity, since few counterfeiters were likely to have taken such pains with their work.
See that? So you can stop that right there. So they understand that historians know the migration documented by the elite, but they won't talk about it. They're keeping us in blindness and darkness. But now we're learning and understanding that we cannot trust the enemy because we are in a battle, in a war. A book called The Feast and Wisdoms of the Ancients. Let's go back to the Bible now. So we definitely confirm that they're not American. They came to America. It's not even up for debate. Even though some of the mainstream scholars trying to hide it because it's against their self-preservation agenda. Let's go now to book of... so we know that the northern kingdom, now in America. The Negro kingdom, going to run into Africa. Let's look at them. Exodus, well, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 29, verse 14. Just that verse. Yach Ezekiel in Hebrew, 29, 14.
Verse 14 says, "And I will bring again the captivity of Egypt, and will cause them to return into the land of Patros."
See that? The Most High said that he will bring the slavery, the bondage Kind of like we had in Egypt, and you're going to cause us to return to where?
To Patros.
Patros. Patrosim is in Africa. The Judah will be back again into where?
Patros.
Africa. Patros. That's a prophecy. I'm going to show you when it happened. Go ahead.
Into the land of their habitation, and they shall be a base kingdom.
And the Negro shall be a what?
A base kingdom.
A base, mean that you are looked down on, your works all over. Look at what NATO is doing in Africa. Look at what Africom, what they're doing. Look at what America is doing in Africa. Look at their vaccine agenda. Look at the interest through World Bank and IMF, how they have enslaved us. Look at their sword through our history. We've been made a base country. The Most High said that we're going to go by because we continue to break his commandments. So they set up institutions to teach us to continue to break his commandment, to reinforce their power. Get a question?
Ezekiel chapter 29 verse 14.
So we're going to return to Africa and be a base people. A people looked down upon. Think about that. That's amazing.
Oh, the next one is good too.
Read it.
And it shall be the basest of the kingdoms.
And we shall be the what?
The basest of the kingdom.
The lowest of lows. So they're trying to figure out why is it that Africa cannot get itself together. And they're bringing these socio-political and economic packages. But we don't need that. We need the truth. We need our people to repent and come back to the true worship of our Allahayim. We're going to be the basis of all governments. Exactly what's going on. You're dealing with corruption. You're dealing with greed. You're dealing with backwardness. You're dealing with lack of progress in terms of the Western, standards. It was designed that way by the Heavenly Father because we went against him. Amazing. So they're telling us to celebrate our defeat is an insult. That's good right there.
Well, there's more, but that's
read on.
And it shall be the basis of the kingdom, neither shall it exalt itself any more above the nations, for I will diminish them, that they shall no more rule over the nations.
See that? We are called to be Israel. Israel to rule by the Most High. The Most High said, you're not going to rule by me no more. You're going to be the basest. That's why we hate ourselves. That's why we can now walk together. That's how we cannot, operate better. We've been reduced to a base nation. In Africa, brothers and sisters. Still in Africa. Go to Liberia. Go to Nigeria. Go to Cameroon. Go to Angola. Go to Congo. What they did in Congo when the Portuguese came over there and the French came over there is profound. And before then, you had the one that came from... what was the guy that came from Europe and massacred? That's actually in the British Museum right now.
Oh, that's
Leopold.
Leopold.
Yeah. He came in there and did. Yeah. It's profound. The level he was cutting off people's arms. It's amazing. The greatest genocide is the war against our people. Today is so sophisticated, and we're still thinking in a peace mindset, but there's a war. Let's go to now Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 1. This is how Judah returned into Africa. Yehuda, the Negroes. Lost 10 tribes in America. Here come the Negroes flying into Africa. They couldn't stay in Jerusalem. The fire was too hot for us to stay in Jerusalem. Let's read it.
Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 4. Howbeit I sent unto you all my servants, the prophet, rising early and sending them, saying, Oh, do not this abominable thing that I hate. But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ears.
Our people what?
Hearkened not, nor inclined their ears.
Our people will never listen to the truth, except those ones that the Most High is calling down to change. Amazing. Hold on. Somebody wrote here, Elder, this precept further proves that the people in Israel is not the true people of the Bible. Absolutely. That's Brother Leroy. The precept that we just read shows you that the Jews are in Africa. I'm glad that he mentioned that, because the precept shows you that the Jews are in Africa. Starting from that time. So you're not going to find them where so they can be in Jerusalem. So absolutely, brother, the Jews are not in Jerusalem, they're in Africa. And we are those descendants that fled into Africa to prove everything the Holy Scriptures are saying.
Yes.
Amazing. Go ahead, brother. Give us the book, chapter, and verse, please.
Jeremiah chapter 44, verse 4.
Go ahead.
Howbeit, I sent unto you all my servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, Oh, do not this abominable thing that I hate. But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear to turn from their wickedness, to burn no incense unto other gods. Wherefore my fury and mine anger was poured forth, and was kindled in the cities of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem.
Thus we were destroyed in the streets by the powers of the Gentiles in this global war. Scattered and pillaged. We couldn't stay in Jerusalem. Go ahead.
And they were wasted and desolate.
And we were what?
Wasted and desolate.
Wasted and become desolate. Go ahead.
As at this day. Therefore, now thus says the Most High Power of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, wherefore commit ye this great evil against your souls?
Are you reading Jeremiah chapter 44, right? Mm-hmm. What verse?
Verse 7.
Go ahead.
Wherefore commit ye this great evil against your souls, to cut off from you man and woman, child and suckling out of Judah, to leave you none to remain. In that ye provoke me unto wrath with the works of your hands, burning incense unto other gods in the land of Egypt.
Idolatry is our biggest downfall. Go ahead.
Whither ye be gone to dwell, that ye might cut yourselves off, and that ye might be a curse and a reproach among all the nations of the earth.
So the Israelites are in Africa, Egypt. We went back into Egypt and continued the same idolatry in Africa. From all the way from Patros through to slave coast of Africa beyond the rivers of Ethiopia or Kush, where the slave coast essentially. Go ahead.
Have ye forgotten the wickedness of your fathers?
Says the Most High.
And the wickedness of the kings of Judah, and the wickedness of their wives.
We should be always mindful of our history to compel us to live righteously that put us in our condition. But the churches today don't want you to think on these things. So you will continue to be enslaved in your mind. Go ahead.
Have ye forgotten the wickedness of your fathers, and the wickedness of the kings of Judah, and the wickedness of their wives, and your own wickedness, and the wickedness of your wives, and which they have committed in the land of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem? They are not humble even unto this day, neither have they feared, nor walked in my law, nor in my statutes that I set before you and before your fathers.
Go ahead.
Therefore, thus says the Most High of hosts, the power of Israel.
The Alahaya Israel.
Behold, I will set my face against you for evil, and to cut off all Judah.
The Negroes, the Igbos, and that's what happened to us in Africa. Go ahead.
And I will take the remnant of Judah that have set their faces to go into the land of Egypt.
To go into the land of what?
The land of Egypt.
Africa. The Judah is in Africa, dwelling there because we broke the commandment, will not keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. Go ahead.
To sojourn there, and they shall all be consumed and fall in the land of Egypt.
Africa.
They shall even be consumed by the sword and by the famine.
By sword, war, and by what?
By famine.
Hunger, poverty.
They shall die, from the least even unto the greatest, by the sword, and by famine. And they shall be an excretion, and an astonishment, and a curse.
And that's how it became
a reproach.
And a what?
A reproach.
Negroes, they're going to be calling us them. We're going to be the most hated nation. Exactly the condition of our people. Before we're going to be brought to America to serve captivity. Amazing. A reproach. We hate ourselves because we've been reproached. Amazing. Go ahead.
13. For I will punish them that dwell in the land of Egypt.
Africa. Egypt is in Africa. Come on.
As I have punished Jerusalem by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, so that none of the remnant of Judah were gone, which are gone into the land of Egypt to sojourn there, shall escape or remain, that they should return into the land of Judah.
See there? We're not going to be back to Jerusalem. So who are these people in Jerusalem today? False Jews, fake Jews, converts, Europeans. Go ahead.
to the which they have a desire to return to dwell there. For none shall return, but such as shall escape.
At the second coming of Christ. Go ahead.
Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto the god or the other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude.
A what?
A great multitude.
A what?
A great multitude.
A great multitude in Africa. So we saw North American Indians came to America, became the indigenous. We saw their history, we saw that in the bibliography. Here comes the Igbos, the Judah, fled into Africa, the Ghanaians, the people in Ivory Coast, fled into Africa, became a base people being hated. That even our people here in America don't even want to identify with them. That's the level of low that we are today. The Most High's word is real. The testimony has been fulfilled. He's fighting against us, allowing our enemies to win the battle. Read on.
Then all the men which knew that their wives had burned incense unto the other gods, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt, in Patros.
In what?
In Patros.
Sudan. And then we're going to move to west coast of Africa, slave coast, beyond the rivers of Ethiopia or Cush, where we still are today. Go ahead.
Answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Most High, we will not hearken unto thee.
Jeremiah. So our people are known to be disobedient. They fought against the people that will bring the truth to them. Very disobedient people. That has been our demise and our downfall, brothers. So we saw Judah in Africa, a great multitude. We saw the lost 10 tribe in America, and this sets the stage for a key time in world history. At this time in world history, if you're looking for a Jew, you gotta go to Africa or America before it became America. Before Christ even came, we were already in Africa. After Christ came, we've already emptied into Africa. So after the coming of Christ, when Christ has come and gone, he even said that we're going to be back again and scattered worldwide. So the only place you'll find the true Israelites will be in Africa or in North Central South America as some part of ancient world, particularly in Asia. But now something is going to begin to happen in world history. The Dark Age, as we know, Roman Empire collapsed into the Dark Age. Israelites was also competing in Roman civilization as well as in Grecian civilization. We were being oppressed and persecuted. We were also, it was a multicultural society also in ancient Rome, leading to the collapse of Roman Empire, them coming to America. Now watch what's going to happen now. We're going to read this book now. Go to Revelation chapter 17, verse 1. A key time in history. A dark time in history. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 17, verse 1. And there came on one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
They are controlling nations, languages, and tongues. We've seen this. This is the beast carried by, the whore carried by the beast, which is a religious institution being carried by Western civilization, or the revived Roman Empire, which is Rome, ancient Rome, and the revived Roman Empire carrying the religion from Vatican. Come on.
With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
The whole world has been what?
Made drunk.
Deceived by what?
With the wine of her fornication.
Spiritual deception. Come on.
So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness.
So she moved from our original location in Vatican and 7 mountains, which is the 7 heads, the 10 horn in Spain, France, Great Britain, Ireland, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, and Denmark. They were the original European power, the EU that came from ancient European Union. She moved, and where did she go?
Into the wilderness.
Into the wilderness, because before the arrival of the North American Indians, it was a wilderness, a land where never mankind dwelt. It was a wilderness. There is the wilderness before we got there, and that's what Yakanen was singing, John, Go ahead.
And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast.
A scarlet colored, a ruling prince, a glorified royalty, a church, or what you call a religious empire, being carried by a civilization. The greatest Western civilization is what he's saying here. Go ahead.
Full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color.
And scarlet what?
Color.
Scarlet color, kingship, rulership. That's what scarlet rulers do. Go ahead.
And decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
Spiritual fornication, deception that have made the whole earth drunk. False religion, false philosophy, false science, false technology, and elusive technology, and elusive ideologies that they teach in schools to make us be carried by their lies. Go ahead.
And upon her forehead was a name written.
What are the names?
Mystery, Babylon.
Mystery, what?
Babylon.
Mystery Babylon, come on.
The great.
The future Babylon.
The mother.
The mother of all evil.
Of harlots.
From ancient Babylon and all the churches that comes from her.
An abomination of the earth.
That will make the whole earth abominable. Everything in that cup is abomination. Everything that the Most High says in his law is an abomination, is what they teach. Homosexuality. They teach feminism. They teach all the lies, evolution theory, abomination, idolatry. Everything is there through their church system. Abomination of the earth. Come on.
6. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints.
Yakinenu say what?
And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints.
And who else?
And with the blood of the martyrs of the Mashiach.
You see there? They have been killing the children of Israel. We know the saints, according to the Holy Scriptures, are also the Israelites. The system, Babylon system from ancient Babylon, Rome, has been the demise of our people. The blood of the ones that die for the truth of Christ. So let's read that time in history now. Let's read we're reading from a book called A Triptych of Poisoner. A Triptych of Poisoners, from page 27. Start from the place where it's highlighted here.
In the heat of August 1492, the cardinals retired to their cells for the conclave.
That's the conclave, the woman, the whore that deceived the whole earth. Roman Catholic Church is their spiritual arm of the Roman Empire. There comes the cardinal. Go ahead.
In the heat of August.
The conclave is when they get to choose a new pope. Come on.
In the heat of August 1492.
The heat of August. Keep that date in mind. August what?
1492.
1492. What happened?
The cardinals retired to their cells for the conclave, and the first result was that Rivera had 11 votes against Rodrigo 7.
Rodrigo is the father of Caesar Borgia, the one that they put up to be the new face of Christ. That will bring a destructive doctrine to overtake our people worldwide. Their religious arm. So you have a competition to who's going to actually be the Pope. Go ahead.
That's it. Rodrigo remained calm. He had come to the most important phase of his life, and the whole of Spain was watching the conclave.
The whole of Spain was what?
Watching the conclave.
The Spaniards are Edomites. Esau, the European power. Edom, Esau, the European powers. Come on.
Determined to do a great deal to ensure that there was a Spanish Pope in the Vatican.
Because Spain was a powerful, you're talking about the three heads or the 3 horns, Spain, France, Great Britain, that came from the 10 horns that actually set up America, the little horn. Spain was most powerful back then. Go ahead.
Spain was the rising power. That year was to see its triumphant expulsion of the Moors in the completion of the conquest of Granada.
The conquest of what?
Granada.
The destruction of the Israelites. The Moors were Israelites that converted. They were, a lot of them were Muslims. But nonetheless, they were Israelites that were converted previous during the Ottoman Empire. Here comes their first destruction, because we've been ruling Europe back then for a while at the demise of Roman Empire. So this is a significant time in history when they're going to get an edict from the Pope to now begin to go to conquer our people and instigate slavery of our people. Came from the Roman Catholic Pope. Amazing. And here is the last expulsion of the Moors in Europe. So that set now the stage for the time of exploration, the European exploration, to explore new worlds. And again, Judah is in Africa, and then you have Israel is in America, North Central South America. And a new race of people are going to be coming to discover them through what they call European exploration. Amazing. So let's read now. Let's go now to the book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 9. Romans, chapter 11, verse 9.
Romans, chapter 11, verse 9.
Go ahead.
And it reads, and David said, let their table be made a snare.
Go back to verse 7, I believe.
Verse 7 says, what then? Israel had not obtained that which he seeketh for.
The nation of Israel will be seeking for our rulership to win the final battle into our own government, since we've been scattered worldwide. That's what Apostle Paul was writing. What then? Israel has not obtained that which he seeketh for. Come on.
But the election had obtained it, and the rest were blinded.
And the rest were what?
Blinded.
A few elect of our people understand what's going on, and they're truly walking in this truth. And the rest of our people are in spiritual blindness. Part of the curse for the nation of Israel is blindness. Come on.
According as it is written, the Most High had given them the spirit of slumber.
It was written in the book of Isaiah. Come on.
Eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, unto this day.
Until this very day. Go ahead.
And David said.
Now he quotes Isaiah. He quotes David. What is he quoting?
Let their table be made a snare.
Let their table be made a what?
A snare.
And what?
And a trap.
Watch right there. Remember, I told you to remember that word, a snare and a trap. Because everything that's supposed to be a blessing for us becomes a trap. Everything that's supposed to bless us is in reverse now. Now that's why I say that's a key time in world history, because by 1492, in that August, we've been in Africa since 586 BC when what's his name was prophesying, talking about the Babylonians came. We've been in Africa all throughout that time, starting from there to Christ coming, to Christ dying, to the Roman Empire destroying us. We've been in Africa, leading to Apostle Paul writing this statement right here. And he said that, let our table be a snare. I was thinking that we're going to build empires in Timbuktu, in Ghana, in Songwe Empire, in even Angola, all those different places, Bakongo Empire, in Slave Coast of Africa, thinking that we're going to build and actually grow. But the Most High say no. Every place that you fly into thinking that's going to be a blessing, it's going to be a trap and a snare. Something that was happening in Africa was also happening in America among the North American Indians. They went into slavery as well. They were also destroyed. And they have been having tribal wars, about 300 different tribes and different languages and dialects from original Hebrew language. They're thinking that they're going to build empires. They had monuments and structures here in America. Great grassland, highlands and lowlands, great mountains and valleys, and beautiful architecture and nice landscapes, living peaceful, devoid of diseases. Thinking that we're going to live lavishly, but there's a trap coming, both in Africa and where else? In America. Read that again. David said what?
And David said, let their tables be made a snare.
Where you're supposed to eat, it becomes a trap. We think we're going to eat in Africa, it becomes a trap. We think we're going to eat and survive in America, it becomes a trap. Let their table become a snare and a what?
And a trap.
Come on.
And a stumbling block.
And a stumbling block.
And a recompense.
Why? To repay us for what we did until how long?
Unto them. A recompense unto them.
A recompense to us. The Most High is fighting and repaying the nation of Israel. So we have to put down all the sins and begin to repent quickly and come back to Him. A recompense unto us. Amazing. Repayment for our sins. Repayment for what we have done. So let's get into it now. So David talked about it, and we've been going through it. Amazing. Let's go to book of Lost Tribes and Promised Land. The book called Lost Tribes and Promised Land. So we find out we're in America on page 36, 364, another history book, Lost Tribes and Promised Land, a fake Jew acknowledging the fact that we are the true Israelites. Through his research, he was blown away to find out that the indigenous people here in America are the real Jews. Let's read from here, where he says, a brief conversation ensued. We'll start from where he says, waving the banner, real quickly.
Waving the banner high in the air, the Indian guide soon was greeted by a puff of smoke far beyond the other bank of the river. In response to his signal, the two men waited. Eventually, a canoe appeared, bearing 3 men and a woman, all of them Indians, to the place where Francisco and Montezino were standing at the water's edge.
Now we know that they call them Indian by the conquerors. They're not Indians, they're Israelites. Go ahead.
The woman got off and spoke to Francisco in an Indian tongue that Montezino could not understand.
What tongue was this? You're going to find out it's ancient Hebrew like we read in history. We read in another history book. Go ahead.
Although he could perceive that he was being identified in the conversation, she then turned to her male companion to explain the situation. Upon hearing their words, they arose, went over to Montezino, and to his utter astonishment said, Shema Israel Adonai Elohi Adonai Ehad.
He's trying to write it with the Yiddish tongue, but the right ancient Hebrew is supposed to be Shema Israel Ahaya or Adonai, which is what they call it, which is the judge, the sovereign one. Ahaya Alahaya Noah or Kodo, which is what?
Hear, O Israel, the Most High, our power, the Lord is one.
They were speaking Hebrew in America. Think about that. Go ahead.
They had recited in Hebrew the fundamental credo of the Yoda
of Judaism in America, and these European scholars are shocked to hear that. Go ahead. Just like they're shocked to hear us speaking Hebrew. Are you kidding me? How can this Negro be speaking Hebrew in Africa? Well, that's our native tongue. We're called the Hebrews. The tribe of Judah are called the Hebrews or the Hebrews. Go ahead.
A brief conversation then ensued in their common ancestral tongue, according to Montezino, whose fluency in it is almost as perplexing to the reader of his narrative as it is that of his 3 mysterious new companions.
Go ahead.
They told him that they were themselves of the tribe of Reuben.
The tribe of what?
Of Reuben.
The North American, well, the Seminole Indian and Reubenites in South Florida. Go ahead.
And that the tribe of Joseph lived on an island nearby.
Yasafo, all Israelites, before they're going to totally begin the massacre and the destruction of our people. Go ahead.
The day when they were at the last to issue forth into the world was coming soon, they explained. But in the meantime, they could not allow visitors to cross over to them. They were willing to make an exception in the near future, however, on account of their need for education. For though they spoke Hebrew.
For though they spoke what?
Hebrew.
They spoke what?
Hebrew.
In America before the European destruction. Go ahead.
They could not read or write it.
The same thing that was happening in Africa. We didn't know how to read it, but we still speak Hebrew. Amazing. Amazing. Go ahead.
Okay, but would Montezino send...
Jump down to Francisco.
Francisco told Montezino all he knew about these people from his own traditions.
From his own traditions, go ahead.
His ancestors, to their eternal shame, had indeed made war on them and persecuted them. Only the sorcerers of his tribe had perceived that they were a special people and had given warning that they should be left alone.
Now, these are not sorcerers, by the way. That's what they labeled them, because again, when the Europeans don't understand what you do, they label you something according to their own understanding. They were practicing Hebrewism, even though they did middleweight, false worship, because years have passed and there's no prophet teaching them the ways of the Most High. We became lost and scattered. Go ahead.
The Alahayim of these people of Israel is the true Alahayim, they have said. and everything inscribed on the tablets is true, at the end of the days, there will be lords of all the nations of the earth.
So the European powers understand that when it's all said and done, after this battle, we will rule the world. They know that. We're going to be the lords of all the nations of the earth. Come on.
One nation will come bringing many things to this land, and after we have all been provided for, these children of Israel will go forth from where they now are and reign over the whole earth as they once did.
As they once what?
As they once did.
As we once did. This is the gospel. They know it. Abraham Lincoln, they know it. Your president, they know it. What's his name? The speaker, the Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, they know these things. The people that they gotta be mindful in this battle is our people, because we're coming against what they have. We're coming for the power, the influence. We're coming for the heritage that is stolen from us. Amazing. That's Lost Tribes and Promised Land. We're running through a lot of books here, trying to tie it all together now. Let's read the First Americans. Another history book here called Last 2 Million Years. Last 2 Million Years. Let's read from page 340, the First Americans. They documented, this is a book from Reader's Digest, by the way. World publishers, they know who the people of God are. Our people need to bind together and start to do this battle again. Let's read it.
The first Americans, the first explorers to reach North America called its native inhabitants Indians, because they thought they had reached in India and did not know they had discovered a new continent.
You see that? They were looking for India. They called them what?
Indians.
They called them Indians. They eventually even became black and brown people. Now realizing that they have reached a new continent. Go ahead.
The American Indians were the descendants of the peoples who had crossed the land bridge from Asia, now Bering Strait.
Now called what? Bering what?
Bering Strait.
Bering Strait. Go ahead.
More than 20,000 years ago.
That's a blow-faced lie. Now you see how they try to deceive us. They're trying to link the North American Indians to Asia. That they crossed the Bering Strait. That's a lie. Because we know that from true history and from our Hebrew Bible, it shows you how they came to America. That's why I want to show you the counter deception that they're fighting against of ideological battle for us to forget who you are. They did not come through Bering Strait. They crossed the Euphrates and passed the lower passage, came through Africa, the lower side, crossed the Atlantic Ocean and the shores. So we saw the diversion. This is what the scholars believe in. When you go to Harvard College, when you go to the top level, university, that's what they tell you in Duke University. They won't show you in the Bible, but when you go to Oxford, they'll pull the Bible from the Oxford and show you who they really are. Let you know that they don't want us to know who we are. This is page 340. Page 340 on the last 2 million years. Amazing. Read a little more.
They were divided into numerous tribal groups, each with its own language and way of life.
Each with its own what?
Language and way of life.
Same, all Hebrews before the European introduction. Go ahead.
And these divisions made it easier for the invading white man to defeat the Indian group by group.
Read that again.
And these divisions
made it what?
Made it easier for the invading white man to defeat the Indians group by group.
Amazing. I didn't write this. These are them speaking about how they destroyed us. Divide and conquer. Amazing. That's from another history book, Last 2 Million Years, from Reader's Digest, a major publishing company. Again, we're trying to show you one more history book that we're going to go into is, again, Black Indians. To show the battle that raged amongst us. And then pull the information on Thanksgiving. You have it there too? Let's pull the information on Thanksgiving. They started the massacre. We will read on page 34. Here real quick. Trying to tie it all together. Page 34. This is a book by William Lawrence Carnes. Black Indians, shows you the battle here in American land. Let's start from page 34, please. If you will. Start from here.
Slavery and resistance spread. Masters and slaves learned some important lessons from this first bloody confrontation.
So now we see the European leaving Europe, coming to America due to the collapse of European power, and they're looking for new world. At a scholar level, they understand that the people in indigenous America are all Israelites, and they're coming to conquer. The battle between Esau and Jacob. And now you have masters. They became masters. We became the slaves. You're going to find out how the two tribes of Israel now been destroyed. We can win no battle. They're winning our battle. And we're going to get to the end of it to see that Thanksgiving is a mockery of that. Let's read it.
Masters and slaves learned some important lessons from this first bloody confrontation. Enslaving Indians and Africans was not going to be...
Enslaving what?
Indians and Africans.
That's the lost tribe, the southern kingdom, and the northern kingdom of Israel. Now they're calling them what?
Indians and Africans.
Indians and Africa. Now you've lost your identity. You've lost who you are now, because now they are defining you in history book, giving you your own identity as Africans, and we're not. We saw that great multitude that went into Africa, and then we saw the lost tribe. Now they call them Indians. The battle's still going on even in that condition. Go ahead.
Enslaving Indians and Africans.
We're reading from page 34. Go ahead.
Masters and slaves learned some important lessons from this first bloody confrontation. Enslaving Indians and Africans was not going to be free of pain. Masters in a slave land would not sleep easily each night. Europeans concluded it was absolutely necessary to remain armed and use one's race to fight the other.
You see that? So they have to turn us against each other. So they're going to divide and conquer us, because while they're arming themselves to the teeth, just like you see them doing with Homeland Security, doing with NATO, doing with NSA and NASA, they're planning to destroy. So they know what they have done. So they're not going to put their foot off the pedal, because we might bind together. So they need to make sure that they keep us down. Read it.
A French colonial dispatch later in the century put the matter simply: the law is hard, but it is both wise and necessary in the land of 15 slaves to one white. Between the races, we cannot dig too deep in a gulf. End quote. The enslaved also learned some lessons.
That's the second paragraph, right? Mm-hmm. Before you finish reading that, let's go where it says it started with Columbus. I wanted to read that first before we read the struggle, how we're fighting in this battle, and as quickly as you can.
Because the arrival of Columbus was hardly a blessing. On his first day, October 12, 1492.
October 12 what?
1492.
We saw they begin to leave Europe in August, right? 1492. Now this is October 12, what? 1492. Already in America. Getting power from the Pope and Rome, now to conquer the whole world in this battle. Go ahead.
The explorers wrote in his diary, quote, "I took some of the natives by force, the original inhabitants to be traceable, peaceable, and concluded there is not in the world a better nation." His response as a European was to say that the Indians must be made to work and adopt our ways.
So now they're good, tractable, peaceable people, but nonetheless you need to conquer and re-educate them and control them. Go ahead.
The Christopher Columbus, whose unique seamanship and courage had opened the Americas to European penetration, also began the transatlantic slave trade.
So Christopher Columbus is responsible for what?
Transatlantic slave trade.
Jewish. The so-called fake, they are so-called Jews, which are not Jews at all. They are fake Jews that finance the slaughter of our people. And again, Thanksgiving holiday will be the height and the epitome of their conquest. Go ahead.
He started by shipping 10 chained Arawak men and women to Seville, Spain. He wrote enthusiastically to King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella about the business possibilities. From here,
about the what?
Business possibilities.
They made us a merchandise like they do today in music, in pop culture, in hip-hop, in entertainment industry. They sold us for money. Exactly the curse for the nation of Israel. By the so-called people claiming to be the Jews, and they're not. The people claiming to be European powers claiming to be Jewish now. Go ahead.
He wrote enthusiastically to the King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella about the business possibilities. From here, in the name of the Blessed Trinity.
In the name of what?
Blessed Trinity.
He came from Roman Catholic Church that slaughtered us, like we read in Revelation 17. The blood of the saints is with them. Come on.
We can send all the slaves that can be sold. So we can send all the slaves that can be sold when he loaded 100,000 Taino men and women aboard four Spanish ships. The crowding and the stormy Atlantic crossing took a fearful toil. Only 300 survived. But Columbus and Spain had decided to continue the profitable slave trade from the Americas.
So that's how they become powerful and build their empire on enslaving the children of Israel, now who they call the Africans, and the Indians. Go ahead.
Seville became the slave capital of Spain.
Spain, the capital of Spain, Seville, for merchandising our people in Europe. Come on.
Spanish priests were the first to denounce the horror of bondage. In 1511, Dominican Ferreira Montesinos called slavery a mortal sin and said cruelty and tyranny over Indians could not be justified by Christians.
By who?
By Christians.
By who?
By Christians.
So the people that were killing our people were who?
Christians.
So-called Christians. So you think about the mindset, because they already infiltrated Christianity. Amazing. Now the true Christianity of Christ's people, they were destroying the people of Christ, us. Go ahead.
A few years later, Bishop Las Casas, who had witnessed countless Indian massacre by his fellow Spaniards, blamed greed for the horrors. They killed them, quote, Indians, because they want to be rich and have much gold, which is their sole aim, end quote. Las Casas concluded that in the New World, Spaniards had become devils. And
Spaniards has become what?
Devils.
Devils. That's the same Spain people that we saw from the Jesuits that are controlling the luminous powers of the earth. Go ahead.
And the Indians were the only true Christians.
The true Christian, because it's our culture. But even though they don't know who they really are now,
led a determined effort to halt Indian bondage. He pointed out that Indians died off by the thousands from slavery and European diseases.
From what?
Slavery and European diseases.
They gave them disease blankets to kill our people, to depopulate the whole area of America. Go ahead.
Forced labor in Spanish mines in the Americas was so harsh that the average worker died before he was 26. To meet their needs for more laborers, Europeans looked next to Africa.
They looked next to what?
Africa.
To bring their brothers. Amazing. To bring Judah, Levi, and Benjamin to engineer industrial revolution. This is what we confronted against. Go ahead.
The strongest sons and daughters of Africa were seized in their homes or fields or purchased from local traders. They were packed into cargo ships and shipped across the Atlantic. Thomas Brannagan, a Dublin youth who for many years served as a seaman aboard slave ships, described the boarding scene, quote, children are torn from their...
Now who's speaking this?
Thomas Brannagan.
Now they were...
Who for many years served as seamen on board slave ships, described the boarding scene, and he says, children are torn from their distracted parents from their screaming children, wives from their frantic husbands from their violated wives, brothers from their loving sisters, and sisters from their affectionate brothers. See them collected in flocks, and like a herd of swine driven to ships. They cry, they struggle, they resist, but all in vain. No eye pities, no hand helps.
This is what we went through, brother. The curse upon the nation of Israel. Go ahead.
The first Africans brought to the New World by European slavers probably arrived in April 1502 aboard the ship that brought the new governors of Hispaniola, Nicolas de Ovando. Soon after they landed, some Africans escaped to the woods.
Now we know they are not African. These are Israelites. Judah, Levi, and Benjamin escaped to the woods.
To the woods.
Go ahead.
And found a new home among the Native Americans.
Among the what?
Native Americans.
They are rejoining their people in the New World in the same physical battle. Go ahead.
Later that year, Governor Ovando sent a request to King Ferdinand that
of Spain and Queen Isabella. It was the European government that allowed them to destroy us and take over this land. Think about that. Go ahead.
Later that year, Governor Ovando sent a request to King Ferdinand that no more Africans be sent to Americas.
Hebrews, Israelites be what?
Be sent to Americas.
Go ahead.
His reason was simple. They fled amongst the Indians and taught them bad customs and never could be captured.
See that? We begin to bind together. Jump to right here where it says next.
Next, the two peoples began to discover they shared some vital views of life.
That's the Indians and the Negroes. The northern kingdom and the southern kingdom begin to link together and try to work against their common enemy in America. Exactly what the Bible says. Go ahead.
Family was of basic importance to both with children and the elderly treasured. Religion was a daily part of cultural life, not merely practiced on Sundays.
Because it's our life. We believed in the Most High. Go ahead.
Both Africans and Native Americans found they shared a belief in economic corporations rather than competition and rivalry. Since Indians willingly adopted people...
They're talking about it in schools. Why are they hiding this information? Why are people not talking about this every single so-called Thanksgiving holiday? We will continue to teach on this every single Thanksgiving holiday. Go ahead.
Africans took their places in the mines and fields of the New World. The 80 million Native Americans alive in 1492 became only 10 million left alive in a century later.
A century later, from 80 million to what?
10 million.
10 million. That's the level of bloodshed and massacre. Go ahead.
But the 10 million Africans working in the Americans in 1527 had by the end of the century become 90,000 people.
Because they keep bringing more slaves. Why? Only 10% made it and 10% died on their way to Americas to engineer industrial revolution. This is what Thanksgiving stands for. It's more than just what happened on that day of Pilgrim, the day of negotiation with the so-called on the Plymouth Rock. And we're going to read that. Read on.
It says, these figures are even more striking within local areas. In 1519, when the Spaniards arrived, Mexico had a population of 25 million Indians. By the end of the century, only a million were still alive.
Only a what?
A million were still alive.
You can stop right there. These are raw statistics that cannot be debated. And they're actually very, very conservative statistics. But here you're going to see the struggle. Let's read a little bit on the struggle here. How they begin to bind together to fight against a common enemy, even though they don't know who they are. All these many, hundreds of years has passed. But the prophecy and the testimony on that Ark of the Covenant is being fulfilled in this global war. And America becomes the landmass for that war. And religion become a tool. Politics become a tool. Technology and science, psychology, media, and all these things become a tool for conquest, and finance and economics become a tool in this battle. And the sign of our mockery is the true so-called Thanksgiving. Let's read as quickly as you can, a little bit more, and then we'll go into the Thanksgiving real quick. Read that, then we'll run up in the Holy Scriptures. Go ahead.
Masters and slaves. Masters and slaves learned some important lessons from this first bloody confrontation. Enslaving Indians and Africans was not only to be free of pain. Masters in a slave land would not sleep easily each night.
I cried unto Allahayim with my voice, even unto Allahayim with mine voice. He gave ears unto me. In the day of trouble, I sought Ahayim. My soul ran in the night and ceased not. My soul refused to be comforted. I remembered Allahayim and was troubled. I complained and my spirit was overwhelmed. So troubled that I cannot speak. I have considered the days of old, the years of the ancient times. I call to remembrance my song in the night. I communed with mine own heart, and my spirit diligent search. Will the Adonai cast off forever? And will he be favorable no more? Is his mercy clean gone forever? Does his promise fail forevermore? Had Allahayim forgotten to be gracious? Had his anger shut up his tender mercy? I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the years of the right hand of Onelo. Remember the works of Ahayah. Surely I will remember thy wonders of old. I will meditate also of all thy works and talk of thy doings. Thy way, O Allahayim, is the sanctuary. Who is so great Allahayim as our Allahayim? Thou art the Allahayim that doest wonders. Thou declared thy strength among the people. Thou hast with thine arms redeemed thy people, the sons of Jacob and Yasaph. Selah. The waters saw thee, O Allahayim. The waters saw thee. They were afraid. The depths also were troubled. The cloud poured out water. The lightened the world. The earth trembled and shook. Thy way is in the sea, and thy